of wild that somehow I become the focal point of someone's ire by simply doing quite literally nothing. One could even say it's a blind obsession that this person has on me. Okay, Limpus reference done, time for the serious bit. You see, the person of today's video is a woman by the name of Cyberweasel89, and this person spontaneously showed up in the YouTube comment section on my latest video on Rev and Kershaw. She's a supposed disillusioned ex-Rev fan, even going so far as to write up a whole story about how Rev made a hit piece on her and sicked his fans to harass Cyberweasel and turn his whole community against her. I took sympathy at her story, as I had no reason to doubt her at the time. But little did I know that I had just let in one of the most volatile people in history into my YouTube community. You see, Cyberweasel89 has a dark and tumultuous history, one I didn't know about until after she started blaming me for not stepping in to over-moderate and censor my comment section in her favor. All because she was constantly and deliberately picking fights with any dissenting commenter for days. Because of my inaction monitoring the YouTube comment section over what seemed like petty internet beef, she started to message random people who publicly interacted with and followed me on Blue Sky, spreading false information and slander about me. When I looked further into this individual, I found out Cyberweasel has a known history of harassment and explosive behavior in almost any community she has ever laid her eyes on, and, worst of all, even interacted inappropriately with minors over 10 years her junior on DeviantArt. Ever since I said I was going to expose her since she refused to stop and apologize, she doubled down her efforts, trying to turn all of my friends against me, and when they refused because I gave my evidence behind the scenes, she started to drag them alongside me into her slanderous, manipulative arguments across multiple platforms. I will not stand for this, especially in a community that loves to talk behind the scenes and spread even baseless rumors as warnings. I have a reputation and image to uphold and friends to support as they supported me, and I'll prove once and for all that nothing this woman says is accurate in the slightest. This will be ranty, this will be the deepest rabbit hole I've ever gone down in my career thus far, and it will be long. Feel free to kick back, relax, grab a snack or two, or put me in the background while you draw or do chores. It is time for us to begin. Hi everyone, my name is Saphera de Noma, but you can call me Saf. You'll see me in two forms today, this one, and as well as a PNG of my 2.0 design by Beanie Bun, since it feels fitting for some edits I'll be making today. I genuinely wasn't expecting to make the video that I am making today because, quite literally, I was vibing, doing my thing, even had a lineup of Twitch streams and collabs ready to do, and then boom, I'm suddenly being slandered and harassed by some terminally online weirdo on the internet. Actually wild. And at first, I was going to make one quick video just to defend myself and clear the air by debunking her slanderous claims against me only. But then once I found out that this person might actually be a danger to children, well... Now, some of y'all are familiar with my previous videos calling out predators in the VTubing scene, and I won't shy away from defending myself when this PDF threw the first stone. She may not be a VTuber, nor have any significant platform besides in the fanfiction community scene, and she may otherwise be some random nobody, but I guarantee you, this individual has hurt many in her online rampage across many communities and sites over the years. This video will have dedicated chapters for each section, so if you don't want to listen to the full story, feel free to go where you want. But I implore you to stay if you can because, hoo boy, this person is one of the most obsessive, terminally online person if I've ever seen one, and it only gets worse, trust me. So, let us begin. Who is Cyberweasel89? Cyberweasel89 is a 35-year-old Korean-American freelance academic researcher who has autism, ADHD, a CSA survivor, a sex-positive asexual, a soft dom, and self-proclaims to be a wholesome erotica writer and is a member of the cross-brain team that is behind the One Piece self-insert fanfiction called This Bites. Cyberweasel is apparently the frontal of the cross-brain team, and her role is to be the researcher, lore expertise person, public relations person, commission communications, morale, and a quote, romance expert. Basically, the social manager. She has another nickname going by Woozle and is considered the quote, mom of the group, even being nicknamed Woo's Mom by some of their community members. As a quick aside on Crossbrain, Cyberweasel links to their Patreon and some of her accounts, and it apparently is still active despite having little to no updates. The most recent update was in April 17th, 2024, and the one before that was September 19th, 2022. Yet somehow, they still have over 200 paying members and garner over $400 a month. Interesting. Anyway, Cyberweasel has an interesting habit that makes her internet digital footprint very discoverable. I mean, quite literally, she is everywhere with the one and only online username Cyberweasel89. There are over 20 sites where you can find Cyberweasel through a quick and easy Google search of Cyberweasel89, which includes but is not limited to YouTube, Blue Sky, Reddit, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, itch.io, Patreon, Steam, fanfiction.net, DeviantArt, For Affinity, Wattpad, Nexus Mods, Space Battles, Sufficient Velocity, Questionable Questing, Royal Road, Tapatalk, Chain of Hearts, Wikifur, the Naruto Fanon Wiki, the One Piece Fandom Wiki, the Bleach Fanfiction Wiki, Vimeo, and oh, let's not forget Cyberweasel89 uses the same internet handle for even adult sites such as Cornhub, Chatterbait, Literotica, Inner Sanctum, Chioa, whatever, a forum dedicated to Finoxo's creations, Manga, and some random forum to talk about hentai. Now, someone's gonna ask, oh, Saf, how do you know for sure this is all the same person? Well, for a few reasons. First off, she only uses one of two profile pictures, or just the default for sites that she's less active on. The most common one is this monochrome image of a drawn weasel looking at a laptop, and the other is a crunchy image of a neon blue outline of a vague weasel shape, sitting in front of an old computer with the words Cyberweasel written below. Second, her pronouns are always she, her, she's currently 35, has a public date of birth of September 26, 1989 on multiple sites, lives in either of two states in the United States, something about writing or related to writing, the Patreon or being part of Crossbrain, and most importantly of all, she really, really loves big, massive hooters. Like ginormous water balloons, humongous jugs, you know, the sacks of jiggling flesh on a woman's chest, the very thing my own body lacks. Imagine that, but hypersexual to the extreme. The bigger, the better. Cyberweasel also has an exhibitionism and voyeurism kink, especially for ENF, which stands for Embarrassed Nude/Naked Female. Her Vimeo bio also says she's a nudist, which makes sense given her kink preferences. She also likes ASMR. Each profile on all of these sites I've shared with you, even the adult ones, check at least a few, if not a majority of these boxes. Also, she quite literally tells my moderator here, I literally use this username on every website under the sun. Why do I mention this? Because it'll be relevant much, much later. Just wait. Also, as an aside, none of this is doxing because it's all publicly available, information on numerous sites and all accessible with a quick Google search of her own online moniker. Anyway, just know that all these accounts on these dozens of sites are Cyberweasel. For example, on Cornhub, did you know you can earn achievements? I didn't, but that was a fun fact. Anyway, she made a playlist that has some of the aforementioned fetishes in it, such as ASMR and TIG biddies. It's censored here because, you know, it's not safe for work. Personally, I think it's both a stupid thing and a blessing to have someone who serially harasses people use the same internet pseudonym for quite literally everything. I can understand it being like a branding thing to get recognition across multiple platforms as like a mini e-celebrity, equivalent to a chronic V-tweeter in the VTuber fandom, but even on Cornhub? When she isn't a sex worker? Really? You couldn't think of like anything else to be for an alt account for your goonery? Speaking of goonery, real quick, on Vimeo she follows only one guy who only ever posted one video of him doing a naked ice bucket challenge in the middle of Gay Village in Toronto, Canada, and it was linked to a censored age-restricted version on YouTube. In the comments section, Cyberweasel leaves two messages with a time gap of 2 years between them. Like, I admit I am judging, not gonna lie, but personally, I really think keeping your gooner self separate from your supposed professional self is like really important to maintain a good brand image as a whole. But then again, I don't think she really cares too much about brand image given her reputation is pretty dog shit, and I'll show you why in a bit. Anyway, she isn't active on all these sites, of course. Most haven't been touched or updated since like 2020, but the account she is most active is on Blue Sky, YouTube, and Reddit, all because she absolutely loves to debate. Yes, you heard me right. She loves to debate to the point that she becomes what the rest of us like to know as a... As I mentioned earlier, Cyberweasel blipped onto my radar when she started commenting on my video about Rev and Kershaw. She started off innocuous enough with statements like, subscribed and liked. As one of Rev's victims myself, anyone who goes against Rev says cringe is a friend of mine. When some rando commented in opposition to her, Cyberweasel had this to say. I was previously a fan of Rev's. I was an active subscriber to him. I was commenting under his videos. I wasn't a lolicon, but I was an ally to lolicons because I didn't believe they were automatically pedos. Rev did a video on me. Just me. He took a handful of tweets I made over the course of a year for my job, removed them from context, made them all look like they all happened at once, called it a rampage, said asking questions to VTubers is harassing them when Rev has done far worse to VTubers in his video, and said this is bad because I don't understand it. The result is that I got hundreds of D threats from Rev's fanboys. He knew this. He ignored all my private messages about it, trying to clear things up, assuming he was just mistaken in his hit piece against me, or ask him to call off his fanboys. He was radio silent about his own fan trying to clear up his hit piece on her. Despite being the lolicon king, Rev was willing to go against his mission statement. He was willing to sacrifice one of his own fans and turn a lolicon ally against lolicons, all for clicks and views. He made up a narrative and counted on his fanboys to not look into it or give anyone the benefit of the doubt. They assumed I was trans somehow and used slurs against me, assumed I was a furry for some reason and hated me for that. Didn't even ask what I was doing and just blindly believed Rev, nor did he ask me what I was doing. Used racism against me for being Asian American, and one even sent me a selfie of his handgun with the message, "You should perish." I should perish simply because I asked some questions to VTubers for my job and Rev made a false narrative around it? And that's what you want to defend and claim is equal to this YouTuber here? I know from experience with Rev fanboys I tried to explain this to, lest Rev turn on them as well, that you are likely not someone interested in mature adult communication nor working things out with others. Understanding others is beyond you, I assume. Like most of Rev's fanboys, you just want targets to attack with flimsy justification, which makes you look thin-skinned and violent to an outside observer, and makes Rev fanboys and lolicons look like violent abusers, because you can't make meaningful connections and want attention and to feel good at the cost of others. It's the bully the wheelchair kid on the playground principle. They aren't bothering anyone, but you don't like that they aren't doing what you consider normal, yet fail to realize that what you do is even less normal. As a Rev fanboy, you believe that threatening people over minor slights that don't involve you and don't bother anyone, but that you simply don't like that they did so, is normal. That silencing people's free speech with force is normal, even if they're children you don't know. I worry for you and your hatred for strangers based on wild assumptions and lies. I hope you can seek help and change before you end up in jail for your deviant social standards and attacking strangers because you just don't like something they are, did, or said. Because you'll end up in trouble living like you do, either driving your friends and family away with your violent beliefs or arrested for attacking someone in public over a minor perceived slight. Your hair-trigger temper, delicate sensitivity to the actions of everyone around you, and violent rampages just aren't going to help you survive in polite society, and I hope you can realize this before you end up in jail or completely isolated, sad face. You love Final Fantasy and Monster Hunter, yet you've learned nothing from them, and I can't see how you can cooperate with others in these multiplayer games when you're so thin-skinned and will react with violence at even the slightest thing someone says that you simply don't like, sad face. BTW, Rev has a dedicated thread on Kiwi Farms as one of their locals. It's worth a read, because they've collected a lot of dirt on him that shows who he truly is as a person. The monster he actually is beneath the mask. Besides, you should like Kiwi Farms. They do exactly what Rev and you do, so you'd fit right in, sad face. And if you don't agree with the last 4 paragraphs, please explain yourself. I will happily listen in good faith and engage in conflict resolution with you. If you aren't like 90% of Rev's fanboys that I've attempted positive interaction with, I would love that to be proven to me. It would mean a lot to me, in fact, to know there are Rev fanboys with standards and emotional maturity and who aren't violent snowflakes like most of them. Smiley face. As you can see with my heart react at the bottom, I, at the time, took sympathy on this individual. After all, she gave me no reason to completely doubt her claims. I felt at the time that she seemed like a reformed ex-Rev fan who's now come to her senses a little bit, but did carry a bit of a grudge. But that was only the start of my troubles. Because not so long after, I started noticing Cyberweasel was showing up in more comments on this one video quite frequently. A little too frequently even. It turns out she was debating with anyone who decided to respond to her. Whether in agreement, whether in disagreement, she was responding right back to them. One person was asking for verifiable proof of their claims, to which Cyberweasel seemed to forget what the conversation was even about, and then later accused this person of being a concern troll and a Nazi. In comes another person by the name of Expert Contrarian, who seems to share a comment history with Cyberweasel, antagonizing her in what feels like a trolling or rage-baity manner, and Cyberweasel takes the bait each time, getting agitated with each passing bouts. Now, I can understand the need to defend oneself in one's own comment reply section. After all, that seems normal, even if I personally think over 80 messages is a bit excessive for any comment thread on YouTube for a channel of my size. But sure, okay, some people just be like that, right? But that wasn't it. That wasn't the end of Cyberweasel. In fact, she left over 100 comments total in this one video because debating in her own comment thread wasn't enough, so she started branching out, finding anything that she feels like she can put her own 2 cents in, whether it was someone who mentioned something interesting in the replies, or even talking to current and ex-Rev fans to air out her grievances for a response of any kind. One can say she was demanding a crumb of attention even. It even got to the point where I started seeing her messages start being held by the YouTube automod system, to which some I thought were kind of getting more insulting rather than good faith debates, but I still let them through because I had no reason not to. It's internet stuff, whatever. Cyberweasel, to me, didn't seem that weird except being a little too active in the comments section. But hey, it isn't my time wasted, just the times of whoever is involved in all that debacle with her. After all, I got other things to do, such as my streams over on Twitch, collabing for charity for Pride Month, taking care of my cats and myself, and overall just trying to live a normal life, taking it day by day since I became recently unemployed once more. But it all spiraled quickly downhill when, during my Arknight stream on June 5th, 2025, I was just vibing reading the Thorns Altar event when Cyberweasel suddenly waltzed into the chat going, "Saphera, can you not see my replies on Blue Sky? Yeah, it's about something happening in your YouTube comments. I won't talk about it here since I don't want to interrupt the vibing, but it's important and I need help." Which already was a huge red flag to me because I kinda saw this person was deliberately going out of her way to antagonize and pick fights even with people she herself proclaimed she had existing beef with. I felt something was off and the vibes were already ruined just from this person's presence bringing up stupid YouTube drama while I'm playing and reading a visual novel disguised as a gacha game, but thankfully my moderator, Mackie, decided to handle it. And oh boy, little did I know this was going to get worse, not better. While I was busy streaming for a few more hours, my moderator gets into a DM with Cyberweasel on Discord. She claims that there's a few people harassing her, that being one person who she alleges is a violent psychopath, another someone she had previous run-ins in other videos, claiming his behavior is like a high school kid bullying the kid in the wheelchair, and a third person who constantly asked her too many questions and might be faking concern. Cyberweasel complains that YouTube's autofilter keeps silencing her messages but not theirs, claiming this means YouTube's autofilter is, quote, allowing them to rampage all over the comments, attacking Saf subscribers, while silencing any attempt at defense from said fans. As a quick aside, this is not true. Everyone involved with her got held at some point, and I made sure to check my YouTube held messages multiple times a day to release any held messages because they were all actively debating, even if I didn't agree with all the opinions, but debates are debates and not my business. Anyway, continuing on, she says she wanted me to help and that I should remove these 3 from my comments permanently. And oh, don't forget, she added that she's a freelance academic researcher as if that means anything. My moderator sympathizes and takes her story at face value, readily hoping to settle the matter on my behalf to help ease my burdens. Since I was still streaming at the time, I was not able to give my input. But it is here in this reply, this attempt at sympathizing and reassuring Cyberweasel, that my moderator made one mistake. He mentioned that it sounds like these commenters might be trying to dox Cyberweasel, so his advice was not to give out any personal information, which normally would be a neutral point in basic internet safety 101. Cyberweasel latches onto this point and says, attempting to dox Saphera's own subscribers is not something that should be given leniency, which normally I would agree with, but when I finished up stream and looked at the situation as relayed in our mod channel, including the thread that Cyberweasel provided, Mackie, which is that really long 80+ reply comment thread, I saw no evidence of any of these people being what she claimed, let alone any genuine doxing attempts. None of these people sounded violent. Some were bigoted, but there was no doxing and violence nor anything I deemed harassment besides just overall disagreement because their morals and politics clearly clash. The closest anything remotely quote doxing is when Cyberweasel touted her freelance academic researcher credentials in the comment section, to which the troll latched on and taunted them to reveal who they work for, to which Cyberweasel refuses and then they both move on. The overall exchange just seemed like standard YouTube comment shenanigans. After all, everyone knows the YouTube comment section are a cesspool at times, right? I use it as a loose way to gauge the general feedback and reception of each video I produce, but that's kind of about it. And I don't take pure, hateful, and unproductive comments seriously, and neither should anyone else. If I picked fights with every single hater that existed in my comment section, I'd just be tired, honestly. So I basically told my moderator, who had already left a message telling 2 of the dissenters to stop, which you can see the 2 respond to him, to just not get involved any further. It was late, nearly 2 AM, and I was exhausted and not in the mood after finishing up my 6-hour stream, so I just left it at that and figured things were resolved. Oh, how wrong I was. A few days later, on June 9th, 2025, I woke up to getting messages by 2 friends notifying me that they got a strange DM from this person named Cyberweasel89 that claimed the following. Saphera de Noma is allowing Nazis to harass and manipulate doxable info from her own subscribers in her YouTube comments. Her Twitch mod Mackie lied about helping me, only to block me for no discernible reason. Her fans are unsafe, some of them very young and vulnerable, yet she turns a blind eye. And the most I could go was, what? Because I quite literally had a collab to do within minutes of me waking up that afternoon and rolling out of bed. Needless to say, I was not having a good start to my day. I told my moderators, to which one of them immediately banned the 35-year-old woman out of our Twitch chat. Mackie later informed me that he genuinely was only trying to help, that he had never blocked Cyberweasel but merely only unfriended her because he only wanted to keep actual Discord friends in his list and thought the matter was resolved as well. You can see here that there's a pending friend request which shows that he did not block her. It's a Discord default to only allow DMs from shared servers, after all, so this is not something my moderator is at fault for besides the simple innocent mistake of just not informing her of his decision to unfriend her prior, to which I lightly chastised him for. But hey, mistakes were done, and personally, I feel like Cyberweasel took the nuclear option of handling this entire situation. Because it turns out, they not only DM'd the 2 friends of mine who already reached out to me, but more people than I thought. Before DMing, she replied to 2 people who had interacted with me on Blue Sky from months ago with, Saf and her mod Mackie are protecting this guy, with a cropped screenshot that conveniently leaves out the fact that she, indeed, actually did go out of her way to antagonize Expert Contrarian on his own reply from almost 2 weeks ago. Of, your defense about the hypocrisy didn't make any sense. You put those standards out for yourself. You all look bad. And you can see here that Cyberweasel responded 1 day ago, so there was a 12-day gap. So no, Cyberweasel, I'm not protecting him. I believe if you deliberately antagonize and fall for the bait of trolls, you kind of earn the consequences that you reap. This is quite literally the meme of that person riding a bike, with Cyberweasel being the one riding that bike, them falling over when they suffer consequences of their actions, and then blaming me because I simply got better things to do than constantly monitor chronically online people in my YouTube comments section that will post and reply to each other like clockwork. Yeah, alright, sure buddy. If you don't see how holding the gun, shooting yourself in the foot, and blaming the walking passerby for giving you the gunshot wound is actual peak mentally ill behavior, you need to see a professional. Genuinely. Going so far as to start messaging people behind my back, slandering me with false accusations that I'm somehow enabling people to get doxable info in my comments section, and that I somehow have a lot of young fans is actually crazy behavior. Also, not to mention, nothing from these three individuals suggests at all that they are a Nazi. They are just quite literally nobodies on the internet that Cyberweasel decided to single out and get replies from because everyone involved in the situation is just chronically online. So I did the only logical thing I could think of at that time. Make a public thread to debunk Cyberweasel's claims. After all, why was I going to DM her with civility when she couldn't even be civil towards me and went straight for slander? So I start with, Cyberweasel89 is currently harassing numerous people who follow and interact with me, spreading false narratives in their DMs about me. I will take this thread to debunk their libelous claims. My only interaction/notice of Cyberweasel was when they popped up spontaneously in my YouTube comment section on the Kershaw/Rev video. They claimed that they were an ex-Rev fan but got cancelled by Rev because of their tweets about a VTuber. I showed sympathy to their story at the time. I don't mind people doing debates in the YouTube comments section so long as it remains relatively within reason. This includes some supposed, quote, Nazis, and anyone pro-Rev/Kershaw that otherwise just posted opinions that I disagree with. Also, note here, I put Nazis in quotes because I quite literally cannot see concrete proof that these guys are Nazis. They're just bottom-dwelling trolls at best. Continuing on, I do moderate to some extent and have nuked many people in my time as a commentary VTuber on YouTube. I even check held replies often to release messages that get held there, which Cyberweasel has had issues with the automod, but I cannot control the YouTube automod, so I'm not sure what you want me to do. I have not silenced Cyberweasel. In fact, I've always released all their held messages even when they became more insulting to the people they deliberately went to interact with on purpose. Cyberweasel has left a comment on many comments without being prompted. They deliberately sought out these arguments and are blaming me for not doing anything about it when no one told you had to argue in the comments? Get over yourself. I got more things to do than just look at YouTube comments. Based on previous screenshots and Cyberweasel's current defamatory behavior, it seems like if they don't get constant attention and validation, they start throwing a fit. I'm not sure what I did to deserve this. Regarding their claims, 1. Cyberweasel was not doxxed nor getting doxxed. In the screenshot, I highlighted the most likely things that seem, quote, doxable, but you can see, as mentioned earlier, nothing is actually being doxed and nothing matters in the end because both parties moved on from this academic researcher stuff. To me, this is typical internet beef. If you don't want to engage with trolls, do not engage with the trolls and do not give them ammo to utilize. Cyberweasel failed this step by telling them that they are a freelance researcher, leading to an avenue for this commenter to argue with. With how Cyberweasel deflected and the troll stopped pressing on it, it's clearly not a big deal. I don't know why Cyberweasel is making a mountain out of an anthill. 2. My moderator did try to intervene by telling the two trolls, which again, Cyberweasel instigated the arguments with them, to back off. I advised my mod, who is known to not do well with drama nor likes drama-related topics because he came from my VODs, not my commentary channel, to just stay out of it because I was aware it's not his forte. Plus, it's honestly just internet YouTube comment section shenanigans. I stand by it. 3. My fans are unsafe. How? On Twitch, chat is 18+. All my content on my YouTube channel is within TOS and not dangerous for kids. I also doubt many kids are going through every single comment and absorbing only negative information when the majority of comments are overwhelmingly positive. My YouTube channel also only attracts 98.5% adult people only. Clearly, my channel does not appeal to kids. Also, quick shout out to the 3% who are 45+. Y'all chill as hell, I hope. Continuing on, you can easily go through my comments section to see how Cyberweasel has left dozens, if not over 100 comments by now. They have beef specifically with a few other commenters, but it's not my business to interfere when any of them can easily just stop. It's YouTube comments. It's not serious. Again, at Cyberweasel89, promptly cease spreading misinformation about me. That is incredibly mentally deranged behavior, and I do not welcome harassers of any kind in my community. You are not welcome if you continue this behavior. You also said you tried to DM me, but I have no requests. Keep my name out of your mouth. You are a fake fan who only spawned because I mentioned I didn't like Rev, but then you promptly chose to engage with people who naturally disagree with you and continue to argue and are blaming me for not interfering with something that is preventable? LOL, grow up. By the way, if I block you on YouTube, all your comments get deleted. There's a reason I don't ban people willy-nilly on YouTube because it does have consequences for the YouTube comment section, especially if a discussion is going on. Pick your battles wisely. It didn't take long before Cyberweasel began replying to each and every one of my posts on my thread and also start her harassment and slandering campaign in earnest on Blue Sky. She responded with, "Well, I never blamed you for the automod." Yes, she did. In the DMs with my moderator, she complained she was the only one being wrongfully silenced and held, unable to defend herself when that isn't true. She continued with, "I figured you couldn't control it, and I do believe it's better than not moderating comments at all, so I'm not sure what the point of that is." By the way, this is just the first of many bad faith, twisted arguments from this individual. Trust me, strap in fellas, cause it only gets worse. Her next reply is using this meme of, "Yeah, I may be racist, but you're mean and that's worse," and claiming that I'm somehow doing that meme to, quote, "defend Nazis, bigots, transphobes, racists, and brigaders." Huh? Where did I do any of that? Where did I say that? Anyone who knows and watches my content knows I absolutely do not welcome or actively encourage Nazis, bigots, transphobes, racists, and brigaders to ever feel welcome. I make it a point in numerous videos to express my progressive views. I actively get shit on by those bigoted people, showing they clearly don't like me. Then, when that wasn't enough, Cyberweasel says, "Dots. What? I sought out... What? I don't really understand what you're trying to get at here. Are you trying to deliberately take everything I do in bad faith to vilify me, just like what Rev does? Honestly, why should I treat you with kindness when you start spreading rumors about me behind my back? Do you think I will take your words and actions in good faith after you deliberately threw the first stone? Yeah, no, fuck off with your crybaby behavior." She then says, "Defamatory? Attention. That is deliberate twisting of things. I just wanted to help the Kersha/Rev Nazi brigaders who are endangering your own fans. Your radio silence on the matter was getting worrying and spiking my anxiety. Your mod lied about helping me, giving me false hope." Again, he did try to intervene, he did not lie, and I told him and showed him evidence of Cyberweasel's questionable behavior and said it was best to leave her to her own devices because she's kind of beyond help at this point. She fucked around and found out, and this video, by the way, is because you effed around with me because of your constant harassment and refusal to back down. We'll get more into that soon. Continuing on, she goes, "I made the mistake of thinking Little Pale was one of yours. I didn't realize he was a concern troll. But this victim blaming. You're insisting that people Rev and Kersha's fans attack are somehow at fault for being attacked. It's an excuse to protect their attacks on your fans. And hello? You straight up walked into their comment replies to provoke them. It's not harassment if you go up to their porch and knock on their door and they answer you back. It's not my problem. And again, I got other things to do. I'm not living chronically on the YouTube comment section of my own videos, let alone just one specific video. Mountain out of a molehill? These are Nazis. They are attacking your fans. Why are you doing such bizarre logic to protect Nazis and endanger your fans? Again, no evidence of these people being Nazis, just trolls and haters at worst. And he blocked me rather than telling me this? You left me in the dark to not know anything about your decision, and you're shocked that I thought you were ignoring all this? And you call it defamation, even though you were ignoring all this. First off, he didn't block you. Second of all, I genuinely thought he did relay the message to her before unfriending her. Third, I wasn't deliberately ignoring it. Cyberweasel is shadow banned, and none of her cries for help on Blue Sky made it to my notifications. Fourth, again, YouTube comment wars is not life or death. Get over it. Then why did your Twitch mod say otherwise? And I never said kids, I said young, and they are endangered. These are violent monsters, Nazis, bigots, cyberstalkers, all of which are associated with Rev, Kersha, Kiwi Farms, and 4chan. Are you this out of touch? I'm not even gonna bother anymore for this and the next few posts she made. So just see what this weirdo has to say. I'm already mentally done at this point. That is just false representation of what comments I have in this video. If this deliberate attempts to vilify me to avoid accountability for your actions, then you're more like Rev and Kersha than you think. Along with a graph of the Darvo manipulation strategy, which is D for deny. Perpetrator denies whatever wrongdoing they are being accused of doing. Oh, so just like how she refuses to take accountability when evidence clearly points to Cyberweasel deliberately interacting with someone she thinks is a Nazi and a danger? A for attack. Perpetrator attacks the other person by questioning their mental health, honesty, or actions. Cyberweasel is doing a great job at demonstrating this right at this very moment towards me. Nice. R, V, and O for reverse victim and offender. The perpetrator attempts to switch roles with the victim. Instead of accepting responsibility for their actions, they try to make the original victim into the perpetrator. So, again, like how Cyberweasel is doing to me by blaming me for literally having a life outside of daily monitoring of my YouTube comment section that I don't even see new replies because of how asinine the YouTube comment section reading is on the site even for the creators? Wow! Thank you for demonstrating to us what Darvo is, Cyberweasel. So kind and awful of you to use it on me. Speaking of more Darvo, let's see here. Misinformation, but you literally said that yes, you were deliberately turning a blind eye to all the Nazi attacks on your fans. Again, they aren't confirmed Nazis. Your haters and people who don't agree with you are not Nazis, but we'll get into Cyberweasel's logic soon. How is it misinformation when you openly admit to it in this very thread? And why the Darvo tactics? You're doing what Rev and Kersha did. I'm having trouble believing this is all just a misunderstanding. Between incompetency and malice, this seems far more like deliberate Darvo tactics, especially since you claim it's defamation, but then confirm you really are turning a blind eye to Nazi harassment of your subscribers. So the reason you're deliberately protecting these Nazis is because of the algorithm? And no, I think having a billion comments from only a few chronically online people actually does literally nothing for the algorithm. I think every comment only counts once per person, and any extra you do is just for funsies. So no, the algorithm doesn't matter here. I just see no point in actively policing my YouTube comment section when the average person isn't going around chronically reading over 1,000 comments. When I use YouTube, for instance, I look at maybe like the top 5 comments, maybe upvote some, and then I'm off to the next video. I'm sure many are like me and not like Cyberweasel. Anyway, I didn't want to respond to each and everything she spat out like an equally chronically online loser like Cyberweasel, so here are the few responses that I did make. It's called Ignore the Haters. You ever heard of it? Clearly not, considering you felt the irrational need to reply to almost everyone who didn't agree with you in the comment section. You literally DM'd at least 3 to 4 people that I can confirm. If this isn't harassment, I don't know what is. I wouldn't have made anything about you if you didn't take this drastic action. Now, are you going to apologize, or am I going to have to get rid of you the old-fashioned way, aka the good old block? And I know on Blue Sky, a block is quite a nuclear kind of block. Before we get to that though, let me go quickly over the confirmed people she had DM'd. I had this one from a friend who reached out to me on Twitter and is the one whose screenshot I used for my thread. Another friend reached out on Blue Sky letting me know that they got a message from what seemed to be a previous fan and that Cyberweasel was DMing other creators. From this same friend, I also confirmed that there is a group chat that Cyberweasel started, depositing her narratives after narratives into it throughout the days of harassment. After my thread was made, 3 individuals on the day of noticed and commented that they also got DM'd. One here, another here, both not a fan of being given false narratives as their first impression, and another who Cyberweasel complained misgendered her when all this user responded to their message was the common phrase, "Source trust me bro." This isn't misgendering, Cyberweasel? It's a well-known meme phrase, and for someone who's chronically online who tried to lecture me about the internet, you'd think she'd be more aware of it, but deliberately twisting things to victimize herself seems to be a common thread. Anyway, to hammer the point home, because it was clear she wasn't going to back down and apologize, I said, calling avoidable internet beef that I've shown proof that you deliberately go and seek out conflict is victim blaming is completely irrational. If you aren't going to apologize and promptly cease spreading false information about me, I will block you from all platforms. Cyberweasel took her sweet time, instead still trying to argue with other points I made in my thread with, I never said I was getting doxxed. I used your own mod's terminology of getting doxable info out of people. Little Pale clearly wanted personal information he could attack. Also, not true. Little Pale just wanted evidence of her claims against Rev and the harassment against her. She's the one who completely missed that somehow. I fell for it, and you protect him from manipulating your subscribers. The only one manipulating anything here is you, because you literally DM'd people saying Saf is allowing Nazis to get doxable info from subscribers in the YouTube comment section. Hello? And using and weaponizing my trusted moderators and friends' words against me is disgusting. Get your filthy manipulative bullshit away from me and my team and my friends. She continues, wait, she insists that I was defaming her and spreading misinformation. Yet she claims that every single word I said was true. And she even reveals that she deliberately told her mod not to inform me of this decision and keep me intentionally in the dark while the Nazis attacked me. At this point, this was when I was convinced that she just went off her rocker, because I genuinely don't know how she managed to do the mental gymnastics to come to that conclusion. But how is it misinformation when you confirm in this very thread that everything I said is completely true? And why is this so much worse than literal Nazis attacking and manipulating your subscribers? 1, nothing she said is true. Even her replies to me are twisted in her favor. 2, there's no literal Nazis attacking and manipulating any of my subscribers. The fuck are you on about? Every hater on there gets laughed at and mocked in the comments section and ratioed. Cyber Weasel's the only one getting butthurt over the entire situation because she keeps knocking on their door when she can walk off their porch anytime. No one's holding you hostage. Showed? I don't recall you ever replying to it. Hey, you see this thing called the YouTuber loved your comment button? What does that mean? I literally told multiple people several times that I was still holding out hope that there was a reasonable explanation for your silence. What misinformation am I spreading though? You confirmed several things I said were, in fact, true. So which are misinformation? Along with them posting screenshots of their unhinged ranting in some random poor someone's DMs going, despite Mackie's claim he would help me, the Nazis not only are still running rampant against me in Saphera's comment sections, but more are joining them as they call their buddies in or Mac sock puppets. Saphera is radio silent about all this and ignoring all my cries for help, while also seemingly complacent in the seemingly deceitful conduct and false promises of her Twitch mod. I know she says she doesn't really keep up with her blue sky messages, but this explanation can only go so far before my faith wanes. Sorry, what faith? Am I your fucking goddess or something? Ew, don't be that parasocial. Granted, I still am willing to give Saphera the benefit of the doubt. It's just the longer this goes on, the more the damage to my mental health is draining my faith in her. Again, can you just not respond to the trolls? And when she quote retweeted with, wow, literally threatening me because I told her she can apologize or get blocked, I laughed and was done. LOL, okay, bye. You've concern trolled me enough. You didn't know me before the Rev/Kersha video, so you aren't a real fan of mine. I'll be keeping my thread up about you to warn people of your chronically online behavior. Maybe go touch grass or something. IDK, get a life. And with that, I blocked them. I thought that'd be enough to get them to stop. It should be a clear message that I was done with them, right? Well, I should remember that Cyber Weasel isn't a normal, well-adjusted individual. I also knew, had a premonition even, that she wouldn't take the block well and that she would go to the YouTube comment section to try to tell people that I'm a manipulative liar or whatever narrative she wanted to spin. So I preemptively changed all comments to that video to hold all comments. And after a little bit, yep, sure enough, Cyber Weasel left some messages. Come look at these treasures, everyone. Expert contrarian, congrats, turns out Saphera is one of you. And turns out Saphera supports your harassment of her, Anna Lavenz, and her fan base. Can't even get my friends right. SMH, fake fan detected. Doesn't matter. Turns out Saphera is pro-Nazi, so you're protected by her. Oh, yes, just because I don't believe in complete censorship and a complete echo chamber of only yes men in my own comment section means I'm a pro-Nazi now? I'd quite literally the peak epitome of the leftist stereotype. If you disagree with me, you're a Nazi. Can't believe I'm a Nazi, everyone. Pack it up. This Tumblr girly drama tuber is now officially washed. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, Cyber Weasel also said, congrats, Saphera's on your side and your attempt to dox personal info out of her subscribers to force holes into as an indirect way to glaze Rev and Kersha are all things she considers protected speech. Huh? What is that girl on about? I decided to let one of her comments in so I could reply to it and also make it evident on my own YouTube video comment section that I did not agree with Cyber Weasel's tactics. I said, I'm only going to reply to you once here, Cyber Weasel. Falsely claiming that I'm one of them is bonkers after you straight up harassed me on Blue Sky because I was too silent. And somehow that caused you anxiety to the point where you had to DM people false information about me? I've made a thread on YouTube which I'll link here for anyone curious. But quite frankly, you going out of your way to message and reply to numerous people and saying that I'm enabling Nazis and their doxing behavior to harass fans when you're the only one actively engaging with the haters, even going so far as to comment on nearly 2-week-old replies just for a crumb of attention, is absolutely ill. If you can't see and understand how that is harassment, you do not belong in my community. You're actually genuinely worse than those trolls who just leave one hate comment and then otherwise F off until the next time or until someone takes the bait. It's genuinely not hard to literally leave the negative YouTube comments alone. You actively engaged with the haters who are very easy to just stop by not engaging. YouTube comments are not serious. They are not life or death. I do not need anyone white knighting for me in my own video comment section. Your obsessive nature led you to choosing and somehow believing that DMing numerous people who've publicly interacted with me on Blue Sky with false info is somehow fine? It's not? It's literally unhinged and chronically online? Please go touch some grass. I genuinely had no issue with you talking so prolifically until you started blaming me for problems that are very much avoidable. I genuinely thought at the time you guys were just having a debate or even just deliberately provoking each other for the shits and giggles. Clearly you wanted me to censor any dissenting opinion, but quite honestly, I'm against full-on censorship of even neutral negative comments because these people genuinely have a chance to change for the better. That being said, it's very obvious to me at Expert Contrarian is a flat-out troll who's getting a kick of riling you up. I also have no idea about Little Pale and if he's a concerned troll or just genuinely concerned, but either way, not my business. I genuinely don't understand why you keep engaging with people like this. Anyone with internet savvy sense would know that this is a futile endeavor, and that's why I flat out just ignored him and anyone like his comments because they're just stupid and asinine. But you, Cyberweasel, made this anthill into a mountain and started trying to blame me for literally having a life outside of YouTube, outside of actively reading every single itty bitty thing in your 50 plus, maybe 100 plus messages scattered across this video's comment section? Seriously. Just stop trying to actively slander me. I see all your held messages now about how you're calling me a pro-Nazi just because I blocked you for harassment. Get over it. Your behavior is extreme and I've never been one for extremism. I've always disavowed harassment, and you certainly are no fan of mine given you only ever noticed me because I didn't like Rev. Calling me the same as Rev or Kersha just because I don't like your extremist behavior is absolutely bonkers. Get over yourself and grow the fuck up. You're older than me but somehow act childish. Unbelievable. Also, at Expert Contrarian, I also don't like you, so don't take this as a victory lap. The only crown I'll give you is that you only respond to people who reply to your bait, which Cyberweasel has done excellently to my dismay. By the way, Cyberweasel, you want to know the reason why I couldn't see any of your attempts to reach out to me on Blue Sky? You might be shadow banned. I never saw anything from you in my notifications, nor did I know you were even trying to reach out to me until I started getting people to DM me about your crazy antics. I wasn't blatantly trying to ignore you, but you genuinely might be shadow banned. Either way, you're blocked on Blue Sky now, and you will be on all platforms if you continue to be a nuisance. So kindly, like I told Rev at the end of my video, fuck off. She obviously responded, and is forever imprisoned in held comments jail, but here it is. Saphera, nothing I said was false. You even confirmed in your own thread that everything I said was 100% true. You told your own mod that you were allowing the Nazis to harass your subscribers. You told him to not do anything, and you didn't inform me of your decision, with your mod even blocking me to avoid telling me. I was always open to talking with you. You avoided me and vilified me to protect these Nazis and deliberately allow them to endanger your subscribers. You're even engaging in the very Darvo manipulation tactics that Kersha, Rev, and their White Knight Brigaders use. You're also engaging in victim blaming, telling others that their mental health is not as valid as your own, and you think that crying for help is trying to get attention, which suggests some very horrid ideas and a lack of basic human empathy on your part, especially after I endured so much of your silence and good faith. The fact that you're so against harassment but are fine with it from Nazis against your own subscribers really shows how little you care about the safety and mental health of your fans. You claim YouTube comments are not serious, yet you selectively treat some of them as such. Why the double standards? You consider protecting your own subscribers from Nazis and manipulators to be censorship? Is this some kind of enlightened centrist hypocrisy? The very fact you have such completely skewed ideas of basic human decency suggests that the terminally online person is you. The very fact that I see the danger these Nazis pose to your subscribers is because I have a life outside of the internet and am a well-adjusted adult with a job and family. The fact you think reasonable stances against Nazis are somehow wrong when no one outside the internet would take your side here speaks volumes about you. I truly had you all wrong. You're just like Rev and Kershaw, right down to the very same Darvel manipulation tactics. Extremist behavior, bad, but Nazis are completely fine. Do you even hear yourself right now? This is just unhinged. So baiting is completely fine, but any of your subscribers or fans who try to fight back are worse somehow? You genuinely are a protector of abusers and a blamer of victims. So the fact you play victim, does that not mean you are to blame by your own logic? Or are you a hypocrite who says no one's concerns, pains, or mental health are valid except your own? Liar. You outright told your mod to ignore the issue to protect these Nazis and never told me you made this decision. You even admitted that what I said about you on Blue Sky was the truth, but then you accuse me of misinformation. Yet just like all of Kershaw's defenders, you can't name what misinformation is. Rather than anything against Kershaw's Nazism or Rev's child abuse and hypocrisy, is the actual reason you're against them because you see yourself in them? Like, I'm not even gonna go over any of this. Doing so is already going to make my video even longer when I have so much more to show. And I'm quite frankly tired of the mental gymnastics to even try understand where she's coming from. And I'm done losing brain cells. So naturally, it didn't stop here. Oh no, this was still just the beginning somehow. You see, she's also on Twitter. Privated and I had it blocked, but she was still capable of seeing my tweets because of Elon Musk's shenanigans. Blocking on there is more of a performative visual action than like a meaningful one. But anyway, she moved on to seeing my tweets there with Saphera, like Rev says Desu, deliberately manipulates facts. Yes, I have left many comments, but outside of the main thread, they were mostly positive ones of me agreeing with other people in the comments about how bad Rev is. She just knows and is counting on people to not go and check this. My tweet specifically says, you can easily go through my comment section, so clearly I'm not encouraging people to just sit on their ass and do nothing. Continuing on, as for why I left so many, 1, I'm an extrovert. I enjoy social interaction. No, you just like attention. 2, anyone against Rev is a friend of mine. I mean that. Hey, so that means you consider me a friend, right? Do friends go around talking shit about their friends behind their backs, spreading baseless rumors like it's high school all over again, trying to isolate and bully and shame them in secret? I don't think that's a very good friend thing to do. If you think this is normal friend behavior, then you're just a shitty friend and you deserve to be alone. Sorry. 3, engagement for the algorithm. I wanted more people to see that video and find out how bad Rev and Kershaw are. Yet, didn't she criticize me earlier for supposedly, by her own accusations, caring about the algorithm and that was bad? Make up your mind, Cyber Weasel. She could have just told me to dial it back. Told you? How? When? By the time I realized what you were doing, you already sunk your talons into who knows how many people's DMs. I was attacked, so I'm only retaliating in kind by warning people of your insane behavior. The fact Saphera claims this image is misinformation is... Does she not know what that word means? I'm convinced she spread this to Twitter in the hopes Rev fanboy stalkers or anti-LGBT bigots would see it and jump to White Knight Brigade her like they do Kershaw. She's actually delusional if she thinks Rev fanboy stalkers will ever white knight for me after I shit on their king. I weeded out so many people when I dunked on Kershaw on Twitter long before my video. 1, I'm not mad though. Very sad, stressed, depressed, disappointed. Does Saphera have a persecution complex? What is she on about? 2, yeah, Saf, you did nothing. That's the issue. You turned a deliberate blind eye to Nazis and made a liar out of your mod by ordering him to do the same thing after he tried to help. Glad to see she's deliberately avoiding the statements I make in these screenshots, and that YouTube comments are literally not serious, and instead she makes it about something completely unrelated. Oh, as for the not doxed nor getting doxed, this is a reference to something I said based on what her Twitch mod Mackie said. Mackie first brought up the idea that the concerned troll is probably trying to manipulate doxable info out of me. I simply repeated her mod and Saf latched onto it. Do I need to bring out the DM you copy and pasted and sent to everyone? I didn't latch onto it first, you did. Anyway, around this time, I also got tipped off by an individual to a reply on my Blue Sky thread that Cyberweasel had harassed them and their friends, and said, quote, showed in an old now deleted journal how she claimed she was in a relationship with a 16-year-old when they were 28. I immediately asked for evidence if possible because, if true, this would mean Cyberweasel is a predator, and that's, well, that makes her behavior all the stranger, because Cyberweasel constantly touts about how transphobic people are pedos. Which, by the way, I'm not denying that claim, but isn't it ironic to care so much about PDFs and protecting children when she literally preyed upon children in the past? And so, I went sleuthing. I did find evidence of my own before I was given the additional evidence from the original user who tipped me off, but that's not for this section, not yet. The most I'll say is I giggled and posted about it on Twitter going, I found out that the person that's trying to cancel me sent a list of fetishes to a 16-year-old on DeviantArt. Oh yeah, I'm making a video, LOL. And I recently obtained more evidence that this person openly acted inappropriately with a 16-year-old, trying to make this person join a foursome that also included another minor in it while openly saying they're 26. Holy shit, guys, LMAO. She saw that, and then she started ranting about some mist cult or whatever, and that I was supposedly eating right out of their hands. She went out of her way to find the user in question replying to me on Twitter, and honestly, I don't care anything about this mist cult, and I refuse to do serious research into it. The only narrative and accusations about it is straight from Cyberweasel, and I personally feel like by this point in this video, I've demonstrated that Cyberweasel is not to be trusted with her narrative. There's apparently some article or reply or whatever that Cyberweasel did on some site venting about this cult, but honestly, not my problem because it's irrelevant to her public actions anyone else can see and find. For now, Cyberweasel was still chronically talking about me, saying, thing is, her Twitch mod Mackie seemed completely on board with helping me and agreed that those 3 Nazis were a danger to Saphera's fans. Then Saf made a liar out of him by ordering him to block me and not actually help like he said he would. Neither thought to tell me they came to this decision. The second time she mentioned this, so hey, Cyber, remember when you were blaming my moderator not so long ago, telling me my moderator is giving false promises and essentially a problem? Yeah, fuck you for trying to weaponize him against me a second time. And by the way, neither thought to tell me they came to this decision. Maybe if you weren't so chronically online that you automatically chose the nuclear option of slandering me behind my back, we could have communicated like adults. But something seems to tell me she still would have been upset with my answer and it wouldn't matter anyway, but at least my moderator wouldn't have been roped in nearly as much. Maybe. She continued to cry about it, going, I just wanted to ask Saphera about doing something about the Nazis harassing me to defend Rev and Kershaw. How can she gather fans who are so bloodthirsty they're willing to blindly buy into some MAGA pushing the LGBT grooming conspiracy? It's Rev all over again. I'm literally crying. Here are the supposed bloodthirsty fans in the replies, by the way. Wow, real bloodthirsty in here. Wow. Saphera and her fans seem to be very ableist. Saphera is also continuing to use the Kershaw tactic of insisting on being slandered but never specify what the slander is, despite bragging that everything my alleged slanderer said is true in the same breath. Which, calling someone chronically online and mentally unwell when there's clear evidence that, yes, you're stalking me multiple times throughout the day despite being blocked and making obsessive tweets about me, is a sign you're not a well-adjusted individual and you need to see a professional. And that's not ableism. You genuinely need help and more therapy, bestie. And being online ain't good for your mental, clearly. Also, comparing me with Kershaw when I've spent this entire time destroying your narratives? Are you for real? Also, the attempt at isolating the spread of information by telling her fans not to engage or listen to what I tell or show them about what Saphera believes and does. She openly admits that she does believe and do what I show and say, but says it's slander and won't say what the slander is? And this is because I said Cyberweasel89 is still DMing people to this day, actively trying to slander me with their twisted narratives. All I will ask is if you get a DM from this individual, do not engage. Thank you. Please give me some time to work on the video. I'll post work in progress updates as they come. And I only posted this because I got notifications from multiple friends of mine, including my editor Sylvie, all because he retweeted me once, as sufficient enough to try turn him against me. To another friend who's trans, she delusionally claims I'm allowing transphobic attacks. It also includes Nyara and even Nbinted. Cyberweasel was upset that Bint responded to their barrage of DMs with, "I've seen the evidence of what you've done. I'm sorry you got harassed and that your concerns apparently weren't dealt with, but don't get into arguments in YouTube comments and act like you absolutely had to do it. And don't do call-out posts on supposed allies as soon as you feel slighted. Saphera is my friend and I've seen more than enough. Leave her alone." To which Cyberweasel said, "I'm starting to wonder if the stories about Bint had some merit. They confirm they support Saphera's defense of Nazis and transphobes, Darvel tactics, sadistic delight in making others suffer, MAGA collusions, victim blaming, and pushing the LGBT grooming conspiracy against CSA survivors. And quite frankly, I'm disgusted that Cyberweasel is trying to weaponize her CSA survivor status as a shield. Disgusting. That has nothing to do with your unhinged behavior and you know it." She continues, "At Nbinted, do you confirm that so long as someone is a friend, you support all these things? Why do you believe this is an okay thing so long as a friend does it? If so, sad emoji. Like, why does your best friend Saphera claim I'm lying about the very thing she brags about here? And why do you say you support her teaming up with MAGA to push the LGBT grooming conspiracy just because she's a friend? I don't understand the reasoning here. Transphobia good when friend? 3 question marks? Crossed out eyes emoji." And here, Cyberweasel marks one of my tweets in the original thread, and I think she's trying to say that the person who left a comment saying, "Please stay away from kids," is inherently transphobic. But does she not realize that that random person left that comment on my video, directing it at me? They're insinuating that I'm somehow a PDF, and I hope Cyberweasel knows I'm very much cis-female. I'm not trans, but I am a trans ally, and I support all my trans friends, and I believe trans rights are human rights. But that person doing a failed troll attempt to insinuate I'm a danger to kids is not inherently a transphobic comment, because it could be for literally lots of things. Maybe it's because I denounce bigotry and therefore too leftist for this person. Maybe because I'm asexual, or maybe it's because I'm just a cringe VTuber. It's not inherently transphobic unless you strongly believe that I'm trans, which again, I'm not. But if people think my voice is androgynous enough, y'all definitely are boosting my ego from when my handsome 2.0 model gets rigged. Yeah! There's also another DM that Cyberweasel made when I innocently quote retweeted a friend's fan art of me telling her, "I love my friends. Thank you for supporting me in these rough times." Because, you see, Sachi and I are indeed friends, and we even devised this little plan to see if Cyberweasel would take the bait to DM quite literally anybody that interacted with me publicly. And a few hours later, yup, Sachi got a DM, and a pretty personalized one that isn't just full of links to Cyberweasel's own unhinged tweets about me on Blue Sky. Here's the exchange, with Cyberweasel claiming that Saf has been nothing but cruel to me. Like, this level of venom doesn't taste sweet to me. She keeps saying she wants me to be mad at her, but I'm only sad, depressed, confused. I'm also noticing a pattern of ableism since she found this podcast that I got fired from for having panic attacks and plans to use it to publicly attack me. Which, don't worry, we'll talk about that podcast in the next section, because can you believe Cyberweasel may not be trustworthy? Like, I haven't seen this much bloodthirst since Rev says Desu's harassment campaign against me. Which, again, no bloodthirst, but go on, queen. She's even allowing her fans to misgender me. Oh, right, like I can correct every single individual who replies to me on Twitter when I'm busy researching on how much of a vile person you are. Alright. Also, here's evidence I corrected accidental misgenders previously, so clearly I'm not allowing it. I just am, quite literally, busy researching because this person was non-stop harassing me for hours and days. The work I do ain't just a press and start and go kind of deal. This shit takes time. She keeps saying I slandered her, but she refuses to say what misinformation I'm spreading. Like, the fact that she protects the transphobes and Nazis in her YouTube comments is something she brags about. She even victim blames her own fans for not lying back and taking the transphobia or abuse. I don't even understand why she's going so far when I just wanted to talk about the Nazis and transphobes in her comments, since they were harassing me and damaging my mental health, but she was so incredibly enraged at me, and I don't get what she accomplishes from attacking me rather than talking to me. Has it ever occurred to her I was, quote, enraged because she quite literally started throwing rocks at me first? No normal person except maybe the Pope would tolerate her outwardly antagonistic behavior. If she's so proud of the freedom she gives Nazis and transphobes in her own comments, why is she insisting saying that is slander? I don't understand the reasoning. And why is she relishing in the pain and torment she deals me? I never feel any joy seeing others harmed by my own hand, so how is this sadism normal? She seemed giddy when she talked to those MAGA who spread their LGBT grooming conspiracy about me. She never feels joy seeing others harmed, huh? She sure seems to get a huge kick out of constantly harassing and lying about me on the internet, as well as everyone who goes on her shit list over the years. Because, yes, this individual has been around on the internet for far, far longer than I have. After all, remember, she's 35 years old. She's been around in lots of different communities over the years, and let's just say most of them kind of ended in the same way. But her harassment on me didn't end here. She was in cahoots with some random person on Blue Sky who got DM'd by her and immediately fell for her delusional lies and began harassing me in turn. And he suggested for her to reach out to subreddits like r/YouTuber drama and r/VTuber drama, or to contact specific people who have zero idea who they are. Either way, she initially seemed nervous about doing such a thing, but hey, guess what? June 11th, 2025, before she reached out to my more well-known friends, including Bint, she posted on r/VTuber drama a post titled, humble brag? With an edited and crunchy as hell screen cap of one of my tweets, as if expecting people will understand whatever the hell she's insinuating with this markup and lack of context. The saddest part is none of this got updates, and there were only two main talkers here, one being herself and another loser called Softendo CMK. Real quick aside, Softendo is some freak from 4chan who aggressively stalked and jerked constantly to one of my friends, trying to quote defend and white knight for them in a toxic manner, and despite several warnings, he didn't get the hint and got blocked. Softendo pretended to be a supporter on my video to try use me as a way to get closer to my friend that he sexually harassed. And after I hid him from my channel, essentially banning him from commenting, Softendo criticized me on Blue Sky going, "Cyber Weasel did nothing wrong." So I reasonably respond, "You're that weird person who harasses my friend. Of course harassers stay together. F off," and promptly blocked him. This led him to stick with Cyber Weasel even harder on Blue Sky, to which Cyber Weasel welcomed a supporter with open glee going, "Thank you. Also, I apologize for having you blocked. I have no idea how that happened." Yet another person responded, "You probably blocked Softendo because he's an infamous sexual harasser. He's been called out multiple times over it." Cyber goes, "Yikes, yeah, that's probably it. I can't believe I forgot. Thanks for reminding me. Here, proof that I blocked him in the screenshot." And here's the funniest part. To thank the person who kindly helped remind her who Softendo was, she goes, "B2W, weird question, but I always wanted to ask and you're the first I met. How do you feel about that VTuber in your profile picture shilling NFTs? And like, girl, are you going to pick fights with them too just because they aren't picture perfect to your morals? That'd be crazy. But last I checked, no more replies happened, which made me sad. Anyway, it's funny because apparently Cyber Weasel either has the memory of a goldfish or doesn't look at anyone who replies positively to her on other platforms. But on her Reddit post about me, Softendo is clearly glazing her, to which Cyber Weasel eats up, despite earlier demonstrating she didn't approve of that weirdo's actions because of Bint. Aye sis, your morals go out the window when someone agrees and kisses your ass, huh? Thankfully, their failed attempt at a call-out and smear campaign on me flopped real hard. So let's move on to our next topic, which is... let's get one thing out of the way real quick. Cyber Weasel loves bringing up Rev all the time, crying about how he made a harassment campaign against her, sicked his fans onto her, turned her into an ex-Rev fan. Let's actually go and see what that video was about, And don't worry, I won't jump scare you all with Rev's voice. I know a lot of you didn't like that in my last video debunking Rev, but it's a short 3-minute video on his second channel, and it's in the same slop quality of Rev reads tweets and then sometimes comments on it with short quips and mild emotional outbursts, and that's it. Rev is reading tweets from a Twitter thread that had numerous screenshots of a user named CyberWeasel89 replying to certain large VTubers with pointed questions such as to Cottontail's post with, "Cottontail, happy Pride. Also Cottontail supports Philly in donating money to anti-LGBT lobbying despite her LGBT fans pleading with her not to. Philly and Cottontail, radio silence on the matter." And to Vebe's, "What you looking at?" Cyber Weasel says, "Right now, Twitter. Or do you mean in this vid? A terrible person." And to Henya, "Enjoying your anti-LGBT fanbase, pick-a-me?" And "Enjoying your anti-LGBT and misandrist fanbase, pick-a-me?" And to Phillian, "Aren't you the one who says you die on a sword for an anti-Semitic Kiwi farmer mock the murders of black people to police brutality, support art theft, and donate your money to misandrists who claim all men are rapists despite your fans pleading with you not to? And, hey Henya, how's your transphobic fanbase doing? I take it you like them? As well as a link to a Medium.com article that's titled Debunking the Pick-a-Me Delusion, and to Zentrea the same thing with the same link. And to Cottontail again, hi Cottontail, working on an article. How do you feel about Fillion? And to Vexoria, hi Vex, how do you feel about Fillion supporting art theft, mocking the murders of black people by racist police officers, donating her money to rallying despite her LGBT and Jewish fans pleading with her not to, and being willing to die on a sword for an anti-Semitic Kiwi farmer? I transcribed the entire 3-minute video that Rev had to say, and we already went through all the tweets in his video in the order that they came, so you can look at the transcript yourself. For the most part, nothing too crazy in his commentary besides Hogwarts Legacy harassment campaign was real, and it just keeps going, and get a job. Remember what Cyber Weasel had to say near the beginning of this video? Well, let's revisit it now that we have our handy-dandy transcription nearby. Oh, and a quick disclaimer, I do not like Rev. We're definitely not friends. This should be obvious from how I addressed his accusations towards me in my video about Rev and Kershaw. But unfortunately, I've been led to believe that Cyber Weasel's claims are not to be trusted. So unfortunately, I must do what I must in an objective light. So, let's see. Rev did a video on me. Just me. He took a handful of tweets I made over the course of a year for my job. Alright, pause. Let's look at the timestamps on these tweets. I'm going to assume anything without a proper date is at least the day after the original VTuber tweeted it out. Let's see, sometime in June, because Pride Month, also Happy Pride and Men's Mental Awareness Month. Let's see, February, unknown, June, and the rest are in May. Ah, yes, the time frame from February to June is over the course of a year. Okay, cool. Stretching the truth already. Next point. Remove them from context. Okay, another pause. I think the context is pretty clear, no offense, but you quite literally just left replies on big VTubers accusing them of stuff off rip, and even tried linking an article like a bot. Honestly, it is kind of what I would deem harassment as an outsider looking in, not gonna lie. Especially knowing how this woman handles things? Yikes. But anyway, continuing, made them all look like they all happened at once, called it a rampage, said asking questions to VTubers is harassing them, and said this is bad because I don't understand it. Okay, hold up. She put things in quotes, so it means that these things were actual quotes, right? Let's see, rampage, nope, 0 matches, asking questions, oh, nope. Asking isn't even a word in here. And nothing for this is bad, and even the word understand has zilch. Alright, already off to a bad start. I'm gonna be real, Chief. As much as I hate to say it, Rev didn't insinuate these things in this way. He did not insinuate a rampage, he just called it a harassment campaign. And okay, don't know what that's talking about because it was about that weird anti-Semitic Kiwi farmer thing towards Fillion, which honestly, even I don't know what she's talking about. I never heard Fillion say this in my life, and I made a video on Fillion and her past mistakes already. So... sorry, I also don't know what Cyber Weasel cooked there, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Just, I don't know, and there's no proof to back her claims and her accusations. And honestly, these questions do just come off as harassment, probably because she comes at people so aggressively and hostilely. Also, not to mention, her comment at Vebe wasn't even a question. It was just straight up rude. Of course, no one's gonna take you seriously when you do that shit. The rest of Cyber Weasel's comment is mostly her own testimonials with Rev fanboys and whatever, and honestly, I can't give any comment on it because there's no evidence of it that can be shared in the YouTube comments section. But just by debunking her carefully crafted and manipulated narrative of what Rev did to her is honestly enough proof to me that Cyber Weasel is not what she seems when she speaks. Given how she acted toward me, such as her responding obsessively to my own thread, her constant tweeting about me even after being blocked, and her unhinged acts of barraging my friends' DMs, I do not trust Cyber Weasel in the slightest. She already lost all credibility in my eyes. And ironically, I found a tweet from December 18th, 2024, where this random user said, if anyone gets a message from this person, they should be ignored. They messaged me presenting to be a journalist wanting info on a situation. Picking me Hogwarts stuff. I never assumed malice, so sent them what few things I had saved as evidence of harassment they asked for. And notice how it's Cyber Weasel's Twitter account that they posted an image of. Then they effing started debating me about it? They're so bad at their journalistic job they thought I was a Pick-a-Me fan that watched her. Journalists don't sit and try to debate people they asked evidence from in such a hugely biased way. I am not here to debate a situation or be gaslit by a quote journalist. It's an old situation I don't ever feel like getting into debates about anymore. If you ask for evidence, accept what you get. If it's not enough, thank the person and move on. Don't start effing debating me, you dumb bitch. This shows that Cyberweasel tends to have an explosive streak for seemingly no reason to even normal individuals just trying to help out a stranger. And you know what's even wilder? In my research, I found out Cyberweasel actually used to play a Harry Potter game in June 2020 by the name of Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery, a mobile mystery RPG. Cyberweasel even financially supported the game, confirming she spent at least $100 in an angry message to customer service. And though J.K. Rowling doesn't have any hand in making the game, she still most likely gets royalties just because it's her IP that she's licensing out through other businesses like Warner Brothers. I just find it interesting that Cyberweasel was content with playing this Harry Potter mobile game in 2020 when J.K. Rowling was known and rumored to be a TERF, also known as a trans-exclusionary radical feminist, since December of 2019. And honestly, since I grew up on Tumblr for most of my high school and early college life, I swear there were rumors about J.K. Rowling being a TERF for quite some time, even before late 2019. Since Cyberweasel seems to care a lot about trans rights, which, as a quick aside, I again believe that trans rights are human rights, and during the Hogwarts Legacy fiasco, I supported my trans friends in their stance to not play the game. It just seems a bit hypocritical of Cyberweasel to have played and financially supported a Harry Potter game after the TERF reveal, and then go and attack others years later, accusing them of being anti-LGBT just because they played Hogwarts Legacy in 2023. She and the people she accused all sort of financially supported the games, albeit different titles, but ultimately J.K. Rowling gets royalties since it's her intellectual property. What are you even doing, Cyberweasel? But there's other stories and experiences of Cyberweasel's terrible attitude and behavior throughout the years. On Blue Sky, a user said, "Cyberweasel, you make people afraid of you. Victims don't effing scare people. You're a freak and a parasite that lives on hurting others. Look at your account history. All you do is hurt people. And you act like you're some hero for exposing me. It's been 2 years." Along with a screenshot that shows two individuals in blue and pink. Pink's message says, "I'm so sorry for all this. I shouldn't have run away when she confronted me. I was trying not to cry." Blue says, "You are not at fault for any of this." Pink replies, "I hope not." Blue says, "You made a single, completely harmless comment, and she went on a massive rant shitting on you in particular. This is not appropriate, especially not for a moderator." Which seems to apply wherever this took place. Cyberweasel is in a position of power. Pink responds, "For what it's worth, I don't think I could have spoken to Woozle anymore after that simply because I'm terrified of upsetting her. And honest to God, no one should have to feel like they constantly walk on eggshells around you. If you feel like you have to be guarded, defensive, and careful about what you say to someone, they're toxic and not good for you. Drop them like a bad habit. You deserve better." In this case, it just shows that Cyberweasel lashes out and makes her victims afraid. And if Cyberweasel is in a position of power, as she is in that fanfiction team of hers, then who knows how many have had to kowtow to her whims or face the wrath of a barrage of non-stop harassment and insults. Even 7 years ago, she had history with a YouTuber by the channel name Fandom Flux, who does podcast-style episodes, seemingly twice a month. He has a video on his channel titled On Cyberweasel 89 and Spoken Softly, where it's a 41-minute video where he talks about how his co-hosts, Cyberweasel 89 and Spoken Softly, and himself had a falling out. Based on the description, it seems it wasn't an amicable parting, and listening to the video reveals that essentially, Cyberweasel has on multiple occasions essentially ruined the vibes of various recording sessions by either accidentally using people's real names, despite being told numerous times not to, or by snapping too much at other people, resulting in cutting out significant portions.
Weasel had made mistakes before, fairly regularly. It was a problem that I was willing to tolerate. As far as I'm aware, that all of us were willing to tolerate, mostly because I was the one doing the work to fix it. Clear head, I decided she'd made some mistakes. That was a problem. She had decided to drop out in the middle of a recording session before this point, which was a problem. When something didn't go her way or she felt hard done by, she would decide to snipe at people. which I have in the past actually edited out for the sake of people not having problems with that.
In this particular recent instance, according to Flux, it was just too unforgivable of a mistake after having to tolerate the same pattern of behavior from Cyber for a long period of time. Cyber was crying and did not want to talk to Flux personally, so Spoken Softly was their intermediary, which, according to Flux, was only the second time that Spoken had to be the mediator, since the first time was because Flux wasn't sure how to deal with someone of Cyber Weasel's condition, to which he does not reveal what it is in the video. Ultimately, though, Spoken seems to have taken Cyber Weasel's side, which makes sense given in Cyber Weasel's personal Patreon, it says Spoken is her boyfriend. And the two of them made a joint announcement on the Crossbrain Discord that Flux was not a part of, and spun a narrative that Flux refused to accommodate Cyber's mental health needs and refused to talk to her. This is what urged Flux to make a video to try and clear the air, and it's evident he's trying his best to stay professional, but he is visibly distressed with rapidly moving eyes, and sometimes his true emotions come out when he is countering the false narratives that Spoken left in their Discord DMs, which you can hear here.
You've given me the unenviable task of breaking bad news or delivering a bad opinion to her on multiple occasions. Again, I offered to do it myself, but you said you'll do it. I would have been irritated at that this time, but you kicking her off the podcast without, as far as I'm aware, any attempt to actually communicate with her, and again, I said that I had tried to talk to her, and she said no, and then I asked to talk to her, and he said no. So, that bit of flippancy was the straw that broke the camel's back, as you might say. It's a thing I said to him previously that he's decided to try and throw back in my face. Is okay, it's a popular idiom. It's not an insult. It just means it was the last in a long line of problems. So it's not just about the thing that she had a problem with. You are saying the exact thing. You are quoting me on the exact thing that was the problem, and you're trying to pretend it's about something else. No. I don't appreciate being called a coward for things that were entirely out of my control. I don't appreciate being accused of discrimination. I don't...
In the end, it seems Fandom Flux got to move on just fine and still makes content to this day, but it is obvious Cyber Weasel had impacted him negatively to the point of emotional distress in his response video. When I and another mutual mentioned finding this video on Twitter, Cyber had this to say: "This was a podcast I was on well over a decade ago. Already false. In one of the podcasts just before this response video still up on Flux's channel, you can hear Cyber Weasel and the date clearly says 7 years ago. Not over a decade. Under a decade. The owner fired me for having complex PTSD. A handful of my panic attacks interrupted recording, and he'd rather fire than accommodate me. And I'm noticing a pattern of ableism since she found this podcast that I got fired from for having panic attacks and plans to use it publicly to attack me. Which is just downright manipulative. I'm only showing the facts as I've seen it, and I have zero reason to believe your point of view is the only view. Based on my personal experience and research into this individual, I'm led to believe that Flux was most likely painting the more accurate truth than Cyber. I have no doubt that her struggles with complex PTSD had a hand in influencing her behavior to unfortunately be disruptive in the podcast. But ultimately, it sounds like Flux tried his best to accommodate by editing out those panic attack moments. But this final situation that led to the straw breaking the camel's back for Flux was when Cyber was so offended, another person dismissed her recommendation for something that she left for some time, and when she came back, she kept hounding the person even after he already apologized, which sounds just on brand for what she'd do. That is more than just a panic attack. That is just straight up antagonistic, unrelenting, and unwilling to forgive and be professional during a recording session. Flux has no reason to keep you on board because ultimately, there's only so many accommodations one can give before enough is enough. It's not ableism if chances were given and compromises were made to try to be flexible with your issues, which Flux did by editing out unsavory moments. But when enough is enough, any normal person will have to make the hard decision eventually to part ways. Speaking of antagonism, it doesn't end. Her Reddit history shows a pattern of antagonistic behavior, where, remember that Harry Potter mobile game she played 5 years ago? She said to customer service, Why do you still have this ticket open? I told you the fact that the assault on my mental health was by design didn't seem to warrant feedback. Because you refused to close this ticket, I wasn't allowed to send reports about cheaters during the House Pride event. Now I spent over $100 of my scant disability money and my saved up gems over 4 days with no sleep just to try and beat a cheater so I could get that wonderful outfit. And thanks to you refusing to close this ticket for no discernible reason and thus refusing to accept my support ticket on the cheaters because this one was more important, I've now lost money, time, stress, and the first event reward I've wanted in months to a cheater named Shristy. Thank you, Jam City, and good job. You have the best customer service of any gaming company. So good that I'm seriously tempted to quit this game for good now if you're going to pull these things to make players have unfair advantages over others. And like, holy moly, the Karen energy is real! Like, even if it is weird that she couldn't make multiple reports, the guilt-tripping energy and whining about how she really wanted to get that virtual item, even being sarcastic at the end, just really makes you look like an unsavory individual. I get being upset, but this is really not the way to handle things like at all. There's more mature ways to handle this, and keep in mind, this woman was like 30 in 2020. That's wild! But it never ends there, does it? Back to the Reddit history, you can see she's made numerous posts in subreddits with titled posts that are clearly not welcome, like talking about Shy Lily and gamer subs in the Shy Lily subreddit, taunting the r/Christianity board, taunting a pro-Trump board, bringing up anti-JK Rowling stuff to the r/JK Rowling subreddit and a TERF Trans Alliance subreddit, and bothering the Ask Conservative subreddit with things that would clearly get a rise out of them. All these are clearly avoidable, given she never had a post in these subreddits at all, but she thrives off picking fights and arguing because it's like she just can't help it. Even when she gets slighted and banned in communities, she has to make it everybody's problem. For instance, when she got banned from r/Steam, she went to every Steam-related subreddit asking, "Banned from r/Steam?" And you can see all these posts got removed because it isn't the right subreddit. When she got banned from Dragon Age the Veilguard Community Hub on Steam, she automatically goes, "BioWare supports anti-woke mobs, O-face," which all got removed. In that screenshot, by the way, the phrase that got her banned was for saying, "Yeah, anti-wokeness is a massive illness," which, like, personally, I think that's a whatever, but definitely making that mental leap assumption that BioWare supports anti-woke mobs because of the ban is, like, a bit of a stretch. Speaking of Steam, her account currently has a community ban. When checking Cyberweasel's community posts, this seems the last thing she posted about was related to Grums on the Stellar Blade community. I'm unsure if this is what led to her ban, but that's something anyway. Continuing on, she even brings up DeviantArt, going, "There's tons of these open and honest abusers, bullies, and bigots on DA, and the staff won't do anything about them," where she links the comment section where I believe these people are vague talking about Cyberweasel89. Personally, I don't know what's going on here, but I can only imagine she provoked fights with these individuals because even in a response to that subreddit thread before it got removed, someone said, "This isn't that bad," and I was called a PDF for just not agreeing with someone on politics crying emoji, to which Cyberweasel immediately goes on the defensive. The user patiently responds with, "Because literally in my face it says, 'LOL, I'm a troll.' Right then and there, it loses all seriousness there. She's doing this for attention, which is what trolls do. Do you know how many slurs get thrown around daily on the internet by trolls? The less seriously you take them, the less their words actually mean something. If she was going full stalker mode, full on D-threats to someone, then we can talk. But for the bane of your mental health, just report her and block her. All love though, heart." But Cyberweasel wasn't satisfied. Oh no. "So you're saying that?" And then she proceeds to list a bunch of things and ends it with, "You support others doing these things to you with no consequences?" To which she, like, literally missed the whole point of the other user's response. The user responds, "No, I don't, but she's a troll. Like, are you new to the internet or DA? I'm not saying these things are okay, but dude, this is the damn internet. Just block her and report her. That's all you can do. If DA doesn't do nothing, then it's on DA. Keep reporting her." To which Cyberweasel is still not done arguing because, "But the fact you said racism isn't bullying, let me know when it becomes a D threat, is a major red flag to me, especially since I'm not white." Which is like, whoa, where the hell did Cyberweasel get that phrase from? We read the user's responses in full and nowhere did they say that specific quote. The user responds they aren't white either and goes into more detail about their hardships growing up, then concludes it with, "Question, do you create anything? I'm asking this because if you do you let every single damn comment dictate what you create? To listen to the trolls when they say things that they know will get a reaction out of you? If not, then you proved my point. And honestly, they do got a huge point, and it's exactly why I don't let the hateful comments that come in sometimes in my YouTube comment section get to me. They literally don't mean anything, and sometimes they're actually a good laugh to see just how delusional they are. And honestly, this isn't the first time Cyberweasel's gotten similar advice to this person that I also gave, which is don't feed the trolls, ignore them, and move on. And this was over a year ago. But the Left 4 Dead 2 subreddit also had a run-in with Cyberweasel where she posted this subreddit's mods and posted a screenshot of a mod mail that says, I would recommend unplugging from the internet for a while. You appear to be spending your time stalking someone across multiple subreddits in order to harass the moderators into harassing them. At brief glance, you appear to me to be more problematic than someone you claim to be an open bigot. You need to get off the internet. Spend less time worrying about YouTube drama or the actions of internet strangers who will never affect you in real life. Go touch grass. Go spend time with other real human beings instead of arguing with AI bots on Reddit. If you can't learn to coexist with other human beings on the internet, you must first learn to coexist with them in reality. If you want to fight bigotry, there are better avenues for that than becoming an internet keyboard warrior on a forum for a 15-plus-year-old video game and stalking people on Reddit to try and get them cancelled in the year 2025 when you yourself are engaging in atrocious behavior. And like, holy shit, this moderator is based, bro. As someone who's literally feeling this exact same way after a barrage of harassment over the course of 3 straight days, thinking of and trying to say this exact same thing to her across threads and stuff, it's such a cathartic feeling to know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who sees this crazy behavior, and the moderator addresses it very maturely. To follow it up, apparently Cyberweasel was trying to say that she was not the recipient of the mod mail, which lines up with her tendency to lie to fit her narrative. Continuing on, the moderator did confirm that the mod mail was 100% sent to them. Cyberweasel89 has been going across to multiple subreddits, stalking another user and attempting to get them banned from multiple subreddits. Said user hardly even participates in our subreddit, 6 posts over 3 months. I am generally very restrictive in sharing mod mail with the public, but since Cyberweasel89 has been so kind to share a response, I'll go ahead and share the response to the message they screenshotted. Pardon? You say that racism and homophobia are okay, so long as you can find some nonsensical ad hominem to use against the concerned party you barely know? Doesn't seem like the flex you think it is. Though considering how Valve consistently fails to upload TOS, I suppose this perfectly fits. Speaking of culture wars, how's Gamergate 2 going, chud? And oh my god, what the fuck? For the record, another moderator has mod mailed us stating that this user is also causing issues in their mod mail and their subreddit. As well, none of the moderators here on r/Left4Dead2 condone racism or homophobia. And for real, stay based Left4Dead2 subreddit mods. I ain't played your game, but the subreddit mods seem cool from this situation alone. As for who this particular user is that Cyberweasel seems obsessed with to stalk across multiple subreddits, I have a little hunch I know who it is based on my research. You see, Cyberweasel had a run-in with some conservatives on DeviantArt, and one such user is by the name Probium. Now, I read some of his messages during my research, and I can say he's definitely right-wing, and I do not agree with his political opinions. That being said, it doesn't justify him being harassed and constantly demonized from an obsessed person trying to get him banned from multiple subreddits, especially if he hadn't done anything actually problematic in those subreddits. You see, Cyberweasel89 made a 136-page document on Probium, and people like him from the DeviantArt drama that she got into. You can see it says, I am Cyberweasel89. I'm a professional freelance researcher who does research for clients on commission. By the way, quick aside, there's literally nothing professional about this woman, and maybe that's why she'll always remain a freelance individual, because holy fuck, the way she handled herself in every situation is almost always negative unless you 200% agree with her. Anyway, in this document, she says, Probium celebrating and declaring victory over the fact that Neko and them harassed me off DeviantArt. I deactivated my account thanks to the repeated harassment campaigning. They also dubbed me Cyberbully89 despite going farther and bullying than I ever would even consider. But did they now? Because not only was a subreddit made dedicated for Probium called r/anti-Probium, to which Probium responded with LOL, and then showed a screenshot that clearly shows how Cyberweasel tried to get him banned from the Tetris subreddit, and it backfired spectacularly. It starts off with a message that Probium has been banned from the r/Tetris subreddit. He responds, "Why am I banned? If it has anything to do with the drama I had with CyberWeasel89, then I think it's because she is a low credibility source that grossly overestimates the wrongdoings of those she accuses and continually goes after them, as happened in DeviantArt. It is another server that I had this drama, not in this one. I don't remember going into any similar drama in Tetris subreddit." The mod goes, "Do you have any counter evidence against the user in question? If so, we may have to take some time re-evaluating this decision." Probium goes, "In r/new faux Cyrillic, there was an argument with CyberWeasel89 trying to begin a harassment and witch hunting campaign. Same with a post on r/DeviantArt, which was later removed. She has some history on r/DeviantArt ranting about how people are against her, so she starts campaigns against them too. I think I got blocked by her, but if you scroll her profile, there's evidence in favor. She also made a Google Doc about me, but they use loaded words and much of her evidence falls flat, given she links to a rant about me from a person who has created CP, albeit fictional." To which the mods quickly decide, "Read through the comment thread? Thank you for the additional info. We have decided to remove your ban and instead ban Cyberweasel for false accusations." And I think the wildest part is that everyone else can see Cyberweasel as engaging in behavior many would say is harassment and extreme, deliberately going around, spreading exaggerated narratives to try and get someone cancelled or make them lose credibility in a space without them knowing, maybe even getting them banned, all with claims that honestly doesn't seem entirely credible even from a cursory glance because it's just so much, and the proof she provides, if any, is flimsy at best. She's been doing it to me with her DMing my friends and random users who just follow or interacted with me. One Blue Sky user said, "Yeah, her definition of harassment is all over the place. I'm one of the people she randomly messaged, and this is what she said when I tried to get her to reflect on her own harassing behavior. Zero self-awareness. Blocked her right after this." And you can see they responded to Cyberweasel going, "If someone did that to you, wouldn't you feel harassed?" To which Cyber replies, "Not really, no. If I do something wrong, I expect someone to tell me. She was deliberately ignoring me, as she admitted, and even told her mod to turn a blind eye to the Nazis attacking her fans and subscribers and not to inform me about this decision, keeping me in the dark while the Nazis kept up the attack." It's like talking to a brick wall. Numerous people have told her her behavior is unwelcome, and honestly, you know what it is? She lacks the concept of boundaries. She's incapable of understanding and respecting other people's boundaries, privacy, and just acknowledging that they have a fucking life outside of the internet, outside of whatever platform she's currently active on. Everything seemingly revolves around her apparently, and if you don't align with her 100%, you're just as bad as whoever or whatever she hates. And I have found so many things that she says that makes her look like a hypocrite with the added knowledge of the harmful things she inflicts upon others. For example, on itch.io, she has debates there too, and she said, "Normally, I am far more polite and friendly with people since I'm generally a cheerful and optimistic person who has been harmed by so many people that I hate harming others since I don't want them to feel like I once did." And when talking about someone she once considered a friend and had a falling out with, she said, "She used anxiety as an excuse for all her abuse. This is her, a narcissist prayer. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it." As well as, "God, that explains why I'm left-leaning. I actually went and got proper therapy. I'm being facetious, but I actually am telling the truth about going to therapy after realizing I had trauma, since I didn't want to be a hurt person who hurt people." That was a few days ago by the time I'm writing this script, around the same time that she started to harass me by DMing random people and friends lying about me. Cyberweasel, you are still a hurt person who hurts others still. You need to go back to therapy. Because, after all, even the people around her enable her delusions with, "My boyfriend just reviewed the whole situation. He describes Saphera's behavior as psychotic. That's not a word he uses lightly. He means it in the sense of fitting the medical definition and requirements, and never uses it any other way. That would explain why pointing out the things she's getting wrong about me is something she considers unwell, projection of her own unwellness and lack of empathy. It's also why she cares so much about her own mental health, but no one else's, and why the idea I cared about others is so foreign." The projection is literally unreal, guys. Also, I doubt her boyfriend is a psychiatrist, so don't try to armchair psych me. I haven't had anyone project so hard to me that they're literally going to the astral fucking plane ever since my fallout with a toxic ex-friend, who Cyberweasel reminds me of, but Cyber is just my toxic ex-friend but on steroids. I'm literally so shooketh because how does this woman not see that she quite literally only cares about her own mental health, but not how I feel? I dropped everything, stopped all my collabs, stopped all my streams, just to focus on debunking her because I know she won't stop here and she'd forever be a haunting pest and a thorn in my side if I didn't correct the narrative with cold hard facts here and now. All because people like her are crazy obsessed, full of hatred and rage, bitterness and anger, because life has mistreated them and warped their perception to the point that they cannot see reality for what it is, and I feel pity for them. I sympathize so much with the pain and anguish that they had to deal with growing up, and to have the lingering trauma that most likely shapes them into doing awful things that they would otherwise never intend to do if they had been given a better childhood. But that is no excuse for me to prioritize anyone else's mental health over my own. I'm not your emotional punching bag. I'm not your therapist. I'm not your puppet to cater to your every whim and needs to keep you sated. I'm my own individual with my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own wants and desires. And fuck you if you try to rip that away from me for quite literally staying in my own lane. I'm sorry. This is a lot and reopened old wounds. Wounds I had thought I'd never need to encounter ever again. But here I am, having to because one unwell person with too much free time on their hands decided I'm their target for the week, and possibly for forever. But honestly, maybe you shouldn't fuck with me if you have huge skeletons in your closet, because let's finally get to the part everyone's been waiting for, Cyber Weasel is a... Just a friendly reminder that it's not defamation or slander if it's true. I don't make these accusations all willy-nilly just because I don't like someone. No, I make sure I have solid evidence before I start calling anyone a predator, whether it's because they straight up admitted it like Joe Waffle, the minor in question speaks up with evidence, or in Cyber Weasel's case, because it's still out there on the internet, on the good old DeviantArt site and its comment sections of people Cyber Weasel 89 has interacted with. Let's get into it. First, we've already established that Cyber Weasel 89 goes by, well, literally Cyber Weasel 89 on every site, even adult sites, right? And from a relic left behind from when Cyber Weasel harassed some people who had grievances with her, a screenshot of her profile was preserved before she deactivated. It shows that she has had this account for 19 years, and it's the same Weasel profile picture. Her title is Small Mustelid, and that she's into literature, has the same date of birth, September 26, 1989, she lives in the United States, links to the Crossbrain Patreon, and her pronouns are she/her. In her canceled doc on Probium, she says she is Cyber Weasel 89, mentions that her DeviantArt is deactivated, which it currently is, and even on Blue Sky she once again says, I deactivated my DeviantArt account because of a harassment campaign. DA moderation punished me for talking publicly about it while protecting the cyber bullies out for me. I had to private my Twitter because they followed me there. Now they followed me to Blue Sky and I feel no less safe. Yet also note that anyone can reply and it was easy to see your profile without being logged in. So clearly, you weren't being threatened on Blue Sky like you claim you were. Anyway, moving on. We can basically assume and believe this is Cyber Weasel's account. After all, it was created back in, what's 19 years ago? 2006? So she would be about 17 years old when she joined DeviantArt. The likelihood of this being an imposter for 19 years is unlikely because she was quite literally picking fights with this account to the point so many people that she had pissed off knew her name and nicknamed her CyberBully89. But just to confirm, let's see here. Yes, remember how she mentioned she really likes Tig Biddies? There's a comment section thread on DeviantArt from 2016 where her and someone else just talks about how they like enormous big honkers. Yeah, okay, we confirmed it's Cyber Weasel. Now, I only did that so we can establish this is, without a shadow of a doubt, Cyber Weasel, the same user who harassed me, the very same user that this video is about. Not a stranger, not a fake, not a hacker, none of it. The first thing I found on my own was that this user named CloneClocks9999. Their birth date is public on their profile in its entirety, showing that they have a birth date of March 24th, 2001. Keep that in mind. You can see in their profile that their gallery is a bunch of anime characters that all look to be in the same style and pose, kind of like a base. In my research, I discovered this is something known as Kisekai, which is, according to Wikipedia, a blending of art with computers originally designed to allow creation of virtual paper dolls. It's basically an anime dress-up software that, on the surface, looks cute and appealing. But it's actually not a completely wholesome thing as you may think because it actually allows and has nudity options. including showing genitalia and options. Considering people use Kisekai for making original characters in comics without having to learn how to draw an anime character yourself, it garnered a community of its own on DeviantArt at the time, as this is before generative AI. According to Cyberweasel herself in an 81-page Google Docie about me, and yes, I'm being serious, she made an 81-page Google document about me, which I'll mention again later. She says and confirms, Kisekai community was largely an adult one since Kisekai was used to make corn. That being said, there were still minors that got into Kisekai. Clone Clocks 9999 is one such individual, and in this art of theirs titled The Unofficial Kisekai Team, posted on September 16, 2016, and when they were just 15 years old, they said in the description, "I'd really love to thank Brooms17 and Cyberweasel89 for making me realize just how fun Kisekai is." Now, this itself isn't anything too incriminating, but in the comments section, Cyberweasel says, "Aw, you're welcome, hun, heart emoji." Clone Clocks asks for an art trade, and there's a noticeable months-long gap between responses, but it's still 2017 when Clone Clocks would be 16. Clone Clocks asks, "It's okay. If I may ask, what fetishes do you have?" Now, remember, 2017. Cyberweasel would be 27 since it isn't September yet. She has the entire responsibility to not engage inappropriately with this minor over 10 years younger than her. But you know what she did? She sent a link to her journal that is a bit hard to see on the dark background, but it says Cyberweasel89's complete-ish kink list, which includes nudity, exhibitionism, and ENF. This is indeed Cyberweasel's kink, given in another adult forum for adult roleplay and writing. She confirms she's into big hooters and needs frequent nudity to keep her interested. Exhibition also gets named. So she sent this inappropriate list of fetishes to a 16-year-old, which is pretty gross in itself. It is completely not appropriate in any regard to send a confirmed minor 11 years your junior such adult-related material. Even if it's not explicit and just text, it's still a sexually charged conversation that she had the full responsibility to not engage with as the adult in the exchange. That being said, someone can argue, "Oh, but Saf, what if she didn't know?" Okay, that's a possibility, albeit a slim one. So let's go to a more explicit example with a different individual on DeviantArt, also in the Kisekai community by the name Oglome. Oglome has this art that says Scary Bear, made in October 31st, 2015. The description says, "Of course I had to make friends with my big bro's new GF. Hey, me and Chloe are friends. Now we can all be friends. I like friends. Happy face. I don't have many IRL." In the comments section, Cyberweasel says, "The two aforementioned friends, you and me, need to totally have a friendship party. We will tease Chloe until she comes herself. La 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 emoji." Oglome reacts with, "Wait, what?" with a shocked emoticon. Cyberweasel instead just sends a gif of a smiley face waggling its eyebrows suggestively. Oglome says, "That sounds pretty kinky." And Cyberweasel's eating it up, going, "It totally would be. Chloe's such a sub. It's ridiculous how easy it is to tease her. I don't even have to bring my Dom A game to do it, XD." And remember, she did self-proclaim herself as a soft Dom in her Blue Sky bio. Oglome responds, "I probably couldn't attend this party. I'm underage." And guys, this is where it should have stopped. It should have been, "Oh shit, sorry, didn't know." But no. I wouldn't make this section if it were so. Cyberweasel says, dots, must not reveal secrets, which is, what does that mean? Oglome says, but I'm not actually that young. I'm 16, which, no, bestie, you're still young, please. The comments continues where Cyberweasel explicitly says, dots, and so is someone else in the foursome. Cyberweasel admitted this is a foursome, which is inherently sexual language, and admits there's another minor involved. Oglome says, "Wait, what?" To which Cyberweasel clarifies, "One of the other three peeps is also 16, shy bear emoji, and it's not me." Oglome reasonably asks, "How old are you then?" To which Cyberweasel casually admits, 26. Oglome, innocent as this poor kid is and most likely has already been groomed to think this is normal, says, "Oh, well, that's okay. Most of my friends on here are older than me." And Cyberweasel admits, "Most on here are younger than me, XD." Guys, Cyber Weasel just straight up talked inappropriately with a 16-year-old, did not back off when the 16-year-old was honest about his age, did not stop the minor when he tried to feel accepted and involved, admitted that there was another minor in her foursome, and admits most of the people she interacts with are younger than her. This is in an art community that is supposedly full of adults, but she is casually and deliberately interacting with at least 2 minors within this adult-populated community, and casually being not safe for work around them. And this interaction with Aglome didn't stop there. Cyber Weasel was still actively leaving inappropriate comments to Aglome's art pieces even a few months later after knowing he's 16. Aglome would still be a minor in January of 2016, where on a piece about a possible species creation Aglome came up with, Cyber Weasel asks, "And they have all the mammalian equipment but don't reproduce through test mix?" Which, oh my god, I have not heard of that phrase in so long. This was truly the era of the mid-2010s, but remember that Cyber Weasel is 26 during this. Either way, inappropriate to ask that adult-related question to the minor. Next. Aglome's OC is named PJ, and they went to the movie called The Night Before, and wrote a little review about it in the description. Cyber Weasel responds, "Reminds me of how my sister when she saw the girl with the dragon tattoo." She talks about how her sister was focused on the female genitalia, and Cyber Weasel's last line is, "As for me, knowing there's male genitalia in this movie makes me want to see it more XD." This is not something you share at all with a 16-year-old boy while you're 26. Hello? In another creation, Aglome made some more OCs, including a canonical fox boy named Felix, who got adopted by 2 older girls. Cyber Weasel says, "4 boobs and a fox. Nice," grinning emoji. To which Aglome, seemingly having become used to Cyber Weasel's not safe for work language, goes, "I had a feeling you'd say something like that, XD." In another titled, "Do You Wish to Duel Me?", Aglome posted a picture of his room that was a real-life picture of swords on his wall. Cyber Weasel responded, "I have 2 Shania, a miniskirt with no panties, and a DFC. Let's dance." Why is it relevant here that you are in a miniskirt with no panties? We know Cyber Weasel is into nudism, but this is a 16-year-old you're talking to, girl? You can see with how Aglome responds, he's not engaging with that aspect at all because he's just an innocent kid. Cyber Weasel is actively trying to corrupt him, and it's nauseating. In another art piece, remember Felix the Fox Boy? Well, Aglome made another comic of the Fox Boy, who is genuinely just a child, and Cyber Weasel immediately thinks of this minor's child OC, instinctively trying to nurse on an adult woman OC, and blames some anime called To Love Ru. She blames To Love Ru for corrupting her innocent thought, as if this PDF had any innocent thoughts to begin with, given her flirtatious nature with a 16-year-old. She also calls this minor senpai, despite being 10 years his senior, and "do not encourage my perverted thoughts." This is not appropriate at all, and seriously, why are you senpaiing someone who's significantly younger than you? That's not how senpais work, and it's worrisome. In another art piece, Cyber comments on one of Aglome's woman OCs with, "Dr. Mabel sure has some huge honkers. I miss them, sad face. I bet Felix misses them. Her." To which Aglome says, "It's okay, Cyber. I know you were only looking at the Hooters." To which Cyber says, "I sorry. I just such a perv, QQ." When Aglome says, "It's okay," kiss his forehead, "you are still loved," Cyber responds with, "Purrs." This entire exchange thing with Aglome just makes me so concerned because it wasn't just a one-off thing, but over multiple art pieces. Cyber Weasel definitely knew Aglome's age by then, having heard it explicitly from his words in November of 2015, and still chose to engage inappropriately and mention inappropriate topics to a minor 10 years younger than them. You can tell Aglome was getting used to Cyber being obsessed with booba, that it seemed normal to him, but this is not normal at all. This is grooming. Cyber was actively grooming Aglome to normalize her disgusting fetishes around a literal minor. Speaking of grooming, Aglome in 2015 said, "Welcome Kerrigan," and made a comic to introduce an orange-haired girl in November of 2015. The description says, "Once again, everyone go show my good friend as much love as possible, and I swear I don't have a crush on her." Now, there's never been an age confirmation that I could find on this girl, but if Aglome introduced her to DeviantArt and had a crush on her, I can only reasonably imagine this is a peer within his age range, perhaps someone even from school, so there's a reasonable chance that she she is a minor as well. Cyber comments, "Welcome, are you a ginger?" Pleading emoji, boobs, along with an emoji that is do want please, and honestly it makes me really uncomfortable. Aglome says, "Don't scare her, Cyber, she's shy." To which Cyber responds, "Oh, okay, sorry, BB." And Aglome comments about how it's natural orange hair in real life, which does seem to insinuate it's probably a schoolmate. When checking the girl's profile page, people can leave comments there, and one of them is from Cyber Weasel going, "Gives a welcoming watch and welcoming booby grope." The girl responds politely going, "Oh, thank you, but, consent is an important thing, you know." It's clear she's uncomfortable. Cyber immediately dismisses this, going, "Oh, this TV trope says otherwise, girl," and links to a TV trope for something called skinship grope, which is the thing in anime where girls are taking a bath and casually touch each other for essentially fan service. But what's interesting is right here, near the bottom of the page, it says, "Although this almost always works in anime for the sake of fan service, suggesting it in real life is not a good idea. Kids, don't try this at home. There's an almost certain chance you'll ruin a friendship and get charged for harassment." Man, it's almost like the TV trope article just mentioned this is not realistic between two strangers meeting each other for the first time, and it's literally harassment? Not to mention, if the girl really is a minor, then Cyber just virtually sexually assaulted a minor? Oh my god. The way that poor girl handled this was with so much grace though, going, "Oh, well, topic change," but it's clear she is deeply uncomfortable by the exchange. I feel so bad for her. Cyber is definitely at fault here, whether that person she grew up without consent was a minor or an adult because it was without consent. But it's even worse if they truly were a minor. These were all that I could find, and it's pretty hard to find more because Cyber's DeviantArt is deactivated, and lots of accounts on the site seem to have been deactivated over the years for whatever reason. But this alone is enough proof to me that Cyber Weasel had, as an adult at the age of 26, acted inappropriately with kids even when they announced their underageness to Cyber directly. She did not care. She still made moves and inappropriate comments, pushing her fetishes their way. This is the evidence that I cannot see Cyber refuting in any way. She had been crashing out ever since I taunted her on Twitter saying that I had this evidence. She claimed this mysterious mist cult was spreading false narratives of grape. This individual who DM'd me showed the argument that led to Cyber Weasel holding this permanent grudge on Mist Cult from March of 2024, where the source of the issue seemed to stem from people feeling uncomfortable that Cyber essentially trauma dumped in an adult's corn server. Most people didn't want to know the gruesome details of her CSA trauma, and Cyber Weasel was offended that they wanted her to stay silent about her CSA survivorship. The conversations devolved to essentially Cyber Weasel weaponizing her CSA abuse as a shield against criticism from this member, claiming they were using Darvel tactics, that this user was a hypocrite for being a lolicon when their friends said lolicons are PDFs, and all sorts of things under the sun. Since this is just a snippet of a clearly longer conversation, it's hard to know what exactly is going on, but we've seen how Cyber Weasel harassed me and how she talks, so honestly, I can see it being mostly twisted lies, and I know for a fact her weaponizing her CSA experience to shield from criticism is not the first time and still disgusting. I understand it's unfair and cruel that you were abused that way, but it doesn't mean you can use it to deflect and be automatically absolved of any wrongdoing. Anyway, within this screenshot, the user said, "Because you slept with a 16-year-old, and they had screenshots of the conversation on DA. Now, I believe those comments on DeviantArt that I just showed you do not show nor confirm physical interactions with Cyber Weasel, but it is still incredibly inappropriate and what I'd classify as erotic roleplay. Emotional damage and trauma can still be inflicted even without physical touch, and I know myself because I had been groomed by adults growing up as a child on the internet myself. I still carry those horrid memories and the guilt for falling into their traps and seeing unconsented to sites that I, a 14-year-old, should not have seen at the time. I may never have been touched inappropriately, but that doesn't matter. Predators are predators, and I've seen more than enough evidence that Cyber Weasel is one. This is all relevant because after I was up for 24 hours scripting and trying to fall asleep, Cyber Weasel started to genuinely crash the fuck out on June 12, 2025. Remember how she contacted my friends, trying to turn them against me, and they all dismissed and disavowed her? Well, she started sending weird messages to quite literally unrelated parties on Blue Sky with, "Hello, VTuber Saphera de Noma has stated her intention to make a libelous video about me, where she will push the LGBT grooming conspiracy. Her reasoning is retaliation. I asked her for help with some Nazis in her YouTube comments in a way that she personally didn't like. Nyara approves of this." And Anna, Valens, Nyara, and Bin have all spoken in support of Saphera Noma using the LGBT grooming conspiracy and colluding with MAGA over a libelous video in retaliation against an LGBT person she felt slighted by for asking for help with Nazis in her community. And another rendition of it that basically says the same thing. Now, I don't know what the fuck she's on about with this random LGBT grooming conspiracy thing. I think she's trying to insinuate that because I'm calling her a predator, I'm somehow insinuating that all LGBT people are pedos? Well, Cyber Weasel, I hate to break it to you, but I am asexual, so I am also part of the LGBTQ as I identify as queer. And no, you're a predator because you demonstrated inappropriate tendencies towards minors even after they revealed they were underage to you. It's not because you're LGBT, it's because you're just a predator and no excuse under the sun will save you. As I've said in previous videos, I believe anyone can be a predator regardless of race, gender identity, sexuality, religious beliefs, etc. It matters who you are as an individual, irrespective of protected traits. So, better luck next time, Cyber Weasel. When no one was responding to her, she started desperately DMing my editor and friend Sylvie Spark. She was actively sending these barrage of messages in the afternoon of June 12, 2025. She first started off in Twitter with, "Hello, VTuber Saphera Noma, who you follow here on Twitter, has stated her intention to make a libelous video about me pushing the LGBT grooming conspiracy. Her reasoning is retaliation. I asked her for help with some Nazis in her YouTube comments in a way that she personally didn't like." She then switched over to Blue Sky with, "Your boss Saphera Noma has stated her intentions to make a libelous video of me where she will push the LGBT grooming conspiracy. She even colluded with MAGA for ammo to use against me as an LGBT person. Her reasoning is retaliation. I asked her for some help with some Nazis harassing me in her YouTube comments in a way she did not like. LGBT media figures Anna Valens, Nyara, and Bint have all spoken in support of Saphera using transphobia and MAGA as a retaliation tactic against LGBT people she feels slighted by. Your friend Saphera is also openly allowing her fans to misgender me. She also claims that it's wrong to read arbitrary amounts of manga. It's wrong to do Naruto RPs 10 years ago. And other things, she's looking for ammo against me. She's also called me a gooner despite being asexual and made various ableist insults against me. I should also note that publishing a serious criminal accusation of child rape is a criminal offense, as your boss has stated she plans to do so, is liable per se in most US states. If she goes through on her harassment campaign against me, I am potentially looking into legal responses." She then goes into Sylvie's work email, sending the following: "Saphera Noma libel per se. I would like to inform you that publishing a serious criminal accusation of child rape against another person with intent to reputational harm, as your boss and friend Saphera Noma has stated she intends to do in an upcoming video, is a criminal offense. Specifically, it is liable per se in many US states. If she goes through on her harassment campaign against me and publishes this criminal accusation, I am potentially looking into legal responses." Then back to Twitter DMs. "I've been in a deep depressing over Saphera's harassment campaign. She's behaving exactly like Rev says Desu, and people are defending her as she attacks the LGBT community while playing victim to justify it. I had to wake my boyfriend up last night to help me through a panic attack, all because your boss has dedicated 60% of her online time to making her personal Kiwi Farm-style lolcow. I've tried to speak to her. I've tried to work this out. I'm in pain. I don't want others to suffer because I know what it's like. But have you seen what Saphera posts? Despite her claims of victimhood, she's not in pain. She wants me to be mad. She wants me to suffer. She takes glee in it. All because I asked her for help with some Nazis in her community who were harassing me, who she then proceeded to defend, then sling wild accusations at me to defend her own decision. Ad hominem attacks to discredit my issues, along with insults based largely in ableism. What purpose does she have to try and use the number of manga I've read on a manga site as ammo against me? What is defendable about that behavior?" And to answer this and shed some light, I posted about how she read 1 billion manga on an adult manga site that literally has her reading such lovely titles such as "Playing a Game with My Busty Manager" and "The Protagonist Gets Stronger When He Passionately Hugs the Female" and "Let's Educate That Arrogant Girl" and various other blurred out manga, which means they're hentai. I posted this mostly as a way to antagonize her because I knew she was obsessively stalking me on Twitter. Quite honestly, I wasn't planning on bringing it up in the video, but she got upset by my bait that it worked too well. Again, I regret nothing. I'm apparently very good at making people upset with my baits, considering this is the second time someone tried to cancel me with, "Why would Saph ever say such a thing?" She blocked me as a shield to prevent direct confrontation. Also, she could mild my pain and distress for pleasure and content, just like Rev. Why is it wrong when Rev does it, but Nyara and Bint defend it when Saphera does it? Why that double standard? Why is everyone blindly believing everything Saphera says? She's even engaging in classic abuser tactics like telling others not to listen if I message them, as an abuser always tries to isolate their victim. She deliberately does not want my side of the story getting out and wants to discredit it ahead of time by casting doubts on my sanity and validity. Why is that? What is she afraid of others knowing? And okay, hold on. It's funny she says that I don't want Cyber Weasel's story getting out because, sis, you've literally been doing nothing but tweeting dozens of times about me in random people's replies, in their DMs, all trying to get your twisted narratives across. Meanwhile, I'm just here in my corner doing research, talking to close friends who wanted to hear my side as well, and scripting. I occasionally tweeted just to remind people I'm alive since I couldn't stream anymore since I had to prioritize this whole fucking thing. So don't act as if I ever silenced you. I warned people to look at my thread and come to their own conclusion and not engage with Cyber Weasel since she's a manipulative person who lies constantly, trying to get into their heads with loaded words. My warnings is not abuse or whatever. You're the one trying to isolate me, Cyber Weasel, so fuck off with your cry-bully nonsense. She keeps insisting I slandered her and spread misinformation, but she refuses to say what I said was slander or misinformation. That's just like Kersha and her fanboys. Why is it wrong when they do it, but fine when she does it? I'm stressed, I'm depressed, I'm riddled with anxiety, I'm sad, I'm scared. But despite how much she wants me to be, I'm not mad. She insists I hate her. Why is that? Why does Saphera want me to hate her? Sylvie, your boss is a bully. She wants her victims like me to suffer and revels in it. She gets very upset when her fans ask her for help with Nazis in her comments. Nyara approves of Saphera being a bully. They're even using the LGBT grooming conspiracy to attack me as an LGBT person and colluding with some MAGA from DeviantArt to coordinate with this hoax. Why do you support this when it goes against everything I thought you stood for during Hogwarts Legacy? Why do you support your boss being a sadistic bully towards LGBT people she personally feels slighted by? At the very least, I'm sure you and your boss are happy. I may not be mad, but I'm definitely suffering, just like what she wants. And thanks to her Darvo tactics that everyone is falling for, hook, line, and sinker, she's getting away with it, just like she wants. Because Darvo worked for Kersha and Silvervale, so of course it's okay that your boss Saphera uses it. And Sylvie finally responds, "You think I was born yesterday? Answer my question, yes or no." Considering how gullible you are with Saphera's Darvo tactics and manipulative attempts to justify her sadistic bullying, based solely on that, yes. Even a simple glance at Saphera's various tweets about me would show that she's behaving like an immature bully. Despite blocking me to prevent retaliation, she's obsessed with me and has been over the past several days, all because I asked for help with Nazis in her community in a way she didn't like. Also note, she's so scared of being called out that only people she trusts can reply to that tweet. Also, to clarify, that tweet is set to only accounts I mentioned can reply, not only people I trust can reply, because I personally made this bait tweet for my personal stalker and didn't want anyone to comment because I know she'd use it for ammo. She's clearly done it before, so I didn't want it on the one bait tweet I directed at her. So nice try yet again, and thanks for reminding people you are indeed stalking my account despite me having you blocked on all platforms. Your boss says it's slander and misinformation to repeat this, just like Kersha says regarding her own views. But it's okay with Saphera does it, just not when Kersha does. Or is it tribalism? Any horrid action is okay so long as it's from my friend but not against them. You're all okay with Saphera engaging in transphobic retaliation because she's part of the tribe? In that doc, I recorded all the time Saphera's fans misgendered me, and she was okay with it, BTW. But that's okay because members of the tribes are allowed to be transphobic. Is that how it works? I don't actually understand the tribalism mindset. In my own circles, if someone does something bad, we don't defend it, but instead confront them about it and try to work things out. Like I tried with Saphera, only for her to flip out on me. That's another thing she has in common with Rev. Thin skin and a persecution complex. No wonder they're both rage bait drama tubers. Must be a job requirement, though Rev rarely attacks his own side. And now she stated her intention to commit a crime by committing a libel per se. Sylvie, fuck off. The Mist Cult has been cyberstalking me for 3 years across multiple websites. You don't know shit. Stop pretending you do. You're so desperate to white knight the horrid abuses of your friends. You'll try and claim others' struggles and pain aren't valid. You're literally defending your boss's intention to commit a crime. Sylvie responds, "Drop the Darvo tactics. Stop labeling anyone who criticizes as a weirdo when you have numerous times now in my own personal experience alone have harassed me about bullshit that doesn't involve me or require me to be involved. You are a 36-year-old grown woman acting like a 16-year-old high schooler who can't process when she's fucked up and refuses to take accountability. So please actually F off and touch grass. Never contact my accounts ever again because you are wasting my time. So I'll just buy into your delusions of Saphera being the perfect hero and me being the vile monster. It's what you want after all. Saphera craves my pain. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, what the fuck? Listen to yourself. She craves my pain. She just met you? As a quick aside, bless you, Sylvie, for this. Continuing on. You already fired the rounds when you decided it was a good idea to harass me publicly. How so? And then he links a comment here. The reply she left on one of Sylvie's cover that he brings up is, real talk, I love Sylvie for his political views, but I sometimes worry he has some areas where he puts up blind spots with people he knows. Despite Rev says Desu having victimized Sylvie before, and Sylvie being friends with Vexoria and Zolan, both Zolan and Vexoria have had positive interactions with bigoted VTubers under Mythic Talent, gamer subs, and have been silent and perfectly okay with Rev says Desu using their likeness to harass minorities. And when speaking to Sylvie about this, he has either defended, excused, or dismissed most of that sad face. So clearly she already attacked him before, so why would Sylvie take her in good faith? Anyway, she continues, I gotta make sure this goes into my manual if I'm going to be the epic villain your buddies and you want me to be. Wait, you already showed me that. Oh my god, stop acting like a child. Take some responsibility for your actions. Touch grass. I also apologize for that one too, admitting it was not a place I should have aired those concerns. Do you want me to take it back so you can... and fuck off. And then he links the video, which is... Anyway, she later proceeds to go comment obsessively on another of Sylvie's cover. By the way, for this next section, we will be mentioning topics of self-harm and unaliving threats. Please skip to this timestamp if you wish to skip this section, as I understand it can be triggering to some. Cyberweasel comments, I had no idea about this. I guess this explains why you're so quick to defend bullying while insisting even the slightest misstep of a victim is a heinous crime far worse than what their abuser did to them. Somehow like you turned out to be too. Trans rights, but not the trans people who criticize the VTubers you edit for when they act transphobic, and not any of the trans people the VTubers you edit decide to bully. To think I actually hurt because your ad hominem attacks on me gaslit me so hard because of how much I liked you. That's just manipulative to try and make me think my own pain isn't valid because of what a bad person you insist I am for minor breaches of etiquette you insist I did at some point in the past. And bro, if this is not the most manipulative thing I've ever heard, this is where it starts getting into super weird territory because she starts essentially insinuating she hurt herself and that there's blood everywhere, and like, she really gets, well, you'll see. Back on Blue Sky, she starts saying concerning things such as, LOL, I can't touch grass like Sylvie wants, I'm bleeding too much, smiley face, along with a screenshot of a bit of DMs with Sylvie. She tweets out less than a minute apart from each other, oh wow, I haven't had a mental breakdown like this in 12 years, and so muckablodo. When a user comments, I've been looking at everything in the background, but I have to say something. It's one thing to harass Saf and her friends, but to spam the same message to someone who doesn't follow Saphera is the absolute worst. This has nothing to do with the issue at all. This is someone's intro post. And she simply replied, I'm bleed. When this wasn't enough, she deleted her profile picture to default, changed her username to Your Villain, and her bio to Evil Cause You Say So, as well as a new pinned message that says, This Rev fanboy was right, and a screenshot from when she got harassed by Rev fans after his video when she commented on Henya's tweets that said, You need to perish, along with a picture of a firearm in someone's hand pointed towards the ground. It's blurred because, you know, YouTube. Now, I just have to say, I really, really hate when someone tries to guilt trip and manipulate people by threatening, own harm, and unaliving. I've had this used on me by almost every toxic person who's had an impact on my mental development and life. And it sucks because every person capable of sympathy and empathy do not want others to hurt and to naturally want to help them. I do not, nor ever, want Cyberweasel to go through this in reality. I do not want her harassed. I do not want her to hurt oneself. I do not want her to disappear off this mortal coil prematurely. I do want them to be locked up for inappropriate interactions with minors, but that's for the authorities to handle, if they ever will. I also just wanted to clear the narrative and get her to leave me alone. That being said, Cyber Weasel is full of shit here and is being performative and manipulative for pity sad points, and I'll show you why I know. First off, she claimed, "Oh wow, I haven't had a mental breakdown like this in 12 years," but that is not true. On DeviantArt, there's a comment left by Matilda Jeong on the profile of a known, quote, Mist Cult member on August 23rd, 2024 that says, "Hello, I am one of Cyber Weasel 89's friends. Earlier, Tongit, her boyfriend, found her in the kitchen in a pool of her own blood. Her computer was open to a collage of the D-threats and PDF accusations your friend sent her over the past year. One post saw them discussing following her off the site to stalk her other profiles, and one Trump supporter friend of yours saying LGBT people, such as herself, did not exist. She is currently in hospital, and it is unclear if she will make it. We are praying for her as we await more news." The person who received this shocking message replies promptly, "She has a boyfriend? Look, instead of going after people online, how about you stand by her side to make sure she doesn't try to commit Unalive again? Better yet, get her some actual therapy and not some silly app you can opt out of after 2 weeks. Call her out on some bullshit when she's being stupid. I don't care, just keep her from being terminally online. Please get off the phone and get that woman some actual help." Which, yeah, pretty much. She needs to be less terminally online and get real, genuine therapy. Either way though, see how Matilda Jeong types? And this is posted on August 23rd, 2024? Well, also on August 23rd, 2024, Matilda Jeong says to another person named Brad the Hooter Man with, "Hello, I'm trying to reply to your last message, but it keeps not going through. I think the site is having technical difficulties." All of a sudden, it's proper capitalization and punctuation and doesn't sound all sad and mopey. No typos either. And you know how I know that Unalive attempt is fake and Matilda Jeong is most likely Cyber Weasel's alt? Because in a journal where people were ranting about Cyber Weasel 89 and how she harassed everyone involved, Matilda Jeong responded on August 22nd, 2024, just the day before, with "You got your wish," in a journal that says Cyber Weasel 89 attempted Unalive. August 22nd, 2024. One whole day before she supposedly was found in a pool of blood on the evening of August 23rd, 2024. Yeah, alright, Cyber Weasel's full of shit. And that's why I didn't panic when she started doing this weird childish typo nonsense of "so much bloodle" and "I'm bleed." And then the super high school thing of when a couple goes through their first breakup and they have to do the default my profile pic and write sad angsty emo status to show how upset I am. Grr. Like, girl, you're 35. You're older than me. Why are you acting like a literal teenager? Seriously? And it's funny because shortly afterwards, we saw her start posting on her Reddit. She commented on the post made to r/VTubers about my video on Rev and Kershaw, the same video she commented over 100 times and argued with supposed Nazis and bigots, remember? Well, someone mentioned something that's in the video, to which Cyber Weasel asked one day ago, "Who got moderator status where?" If you watched the video, you'll know this is about Synthetic Man giving Kershaw moderator status. The person told her to watch the video, to which Cyber Weasel responds within 2 hours after supposedly hurting herself and threatening to Unalive with a perfectly clear, "I would, but Saphera currently has a harassment campaign she started against me. Since she's a hypocrite, I refuse to give her a view." This basically confirmed to me then and there, oh, this is why she doesn't know I'm asexual just like her, because I mentioned being asexual in my video to debunk Rev. No wonder she blindly believed I was touting an LGBT grooming conspiracy, because she assumed I was just, I don't know, an ally maybe? Maybe just a normal heterosexual person, despite my current Twitter banner literally saying I think I like girls, and my profile picture on Twitter is my 2.0 making out with Sancho from Limbus Company, who is a woman? You know, the same profile and banner that greets her face when she obsessively stalked to find my tweets that I put there but not on Blue Sky. Somehow she didn't connect the dots that I might, you know, be queer, gay even. And I hope she realizes she gave me a view anyway as soon as she clicked on the video, because there is no way she was going to comment on dozens of other people's comments without first going to the comment section, which is only accessible through clicking on the video. Right. But basically, this just proved to me all this was like essentially caused by a confirmed fake fan pretending to be a new subscriber and die-hard fan who didn't even watch the video, just assumed based on the thumbnail alone, and immediately started obsessively going through the comment section without even knowing a single thing that happened in the video and picking beef with people she perceived as Rev and Kershaw fanboys. Honestly, I'm extremely baffled by this entire thing. She genuinely assumed we were like buddies, pretending she was a loyal community member when she just single-handedly proved she never even watched my content, not a second of it. Because if she did, she would have realized that I'm not like most other drama tubers. I do research. I really research even, as you can probably tell by the length of this video. And I find the hard facts and I put them together and present it to you all on an organized silver platter. In CyberWeasel89, you're honestly one of the biggest idiots I've ever encountered in my entire life. Your internet digital footprint is so large because it never occurred to you to have alt accounts to separate things in your 20+ years on the internet. You always kept stubbornly being CyberWeasel89 with only 2 profile pictures for nearly 2 decades. Based on my research, CyberWeasel honestly seemed to thrive in fanfiction community spaces, doing quests and choose your own adventure stuff, even just writing stories in general. I don't care if you're gooning a bunch every fucking day, given you've had over 8,000 mangas in the adult manga reading site in under 3 years, or had 200+ hours of a hentai game on Steam. I genuinely don't care about any of that, so long as you weren't harassing people. But when you start picking fights with others, you do so many things in bad faith and in manipulative ways. You twist the facts to suit your narrative, to always come out as the victim and pretend to never be the instigator, despite all evidence shows that you are, indeed, the antagonistic one. You even did that with me, somebody who was just minding my own business, all because you couldn't handle people responding to you when you went and fought them on purpose in my YouTube comments section. So let this be some closing words to you. CyberWeasel, I sincerely hope you can get professional help, get therapy, genuine therapy, and stay in therapy until you are, without a doubt, capable of learning the concept of ignoring online trolls without having to always have the last word. You need to respect that other people don't have to like or agree with you 100%, and that doesn't mean they're a pro-Nazi when we both clearly want basic human rights for all. If you continue the way that you are now, then I hope you realize you make all leftists look bad. You single-handedly, with your rational screeching and heavy-handed word salads and insults, make us all look like frothing losers who can't handle an iota of a debate or pushback. You're just as bad as the screeching maggots and alt-right conservatives that you loathe. You're just the other side of the same coin but on the left, but still to the same extreme as those people. Please, for the love of God, I hope you can get help and touch more grass. Maybe get an actual job than your online freelance position because it's clear you aren't good at it. And also, please stop trying to manipulate people when you say you're bleeding and that you want to perish. I do not want you dead. I never have. But what I did want is for you to stop harassing me and to apologize. You have done neither, so you have forced my hand and now you reap the consequences of your actions. I don't like you as you are right now, and quite frankly, I never want to interact with you ever again. You're welcome to reply as much as you want to this video, if you wish, but I will not be protecting you at all. I don't even know if you'll even watch this video, considering you didn't even do it for the last one. Again, you fucked around and you found out. You messed with the wrong drama tuber because I'm honestly a spiteful bitch. Don't say I didn't give you a chance to apologize though. I tried. I really tried to be as civil as I could early on despite how antagonistic you were to me, but I've never once did anything but keep to myself and warn people about your unhinged behavior. But now I'm done. Fuck you and get help, CyberWeasel89. But we aren't quite done yet. Shortly after the Reddit post where she confirmed she had never even watched my video, CyberWeasel was seen playing Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma a few more hours later. After that, she posted on r/Rune Factory. She also deleted her Blue Sky and deactivated her Twitter accounts for whatever reason. And as the finale of this script at 5 AM on the morning of June 13th, 2025, this is the last I've seen of her. I don't know if this is the calm before yet another storm, but I know that with this video being posted on YouTube, may this clear up any misconceptions on me, my friends, and anyone else looking to CyberWeasel89 in the future. If there is anyone who's watching this who is a past victim of CyberWeasel89, I hope this video has, in some ways, helped you in your healing journey as well, to know that you aren't alone. We all suffered greatly from this single individual who made it her life goal, intentionally or not, to make everyone's lives miserable in some pitiful attempt to make her feel better about herself. She just happened to choose a creator who finally had the autistic and ADHD hyperfixation enough to deep dive into her and craft this video. To everyone who watched all this way, thank you so much. I've never made a video this long, nor within this crunch time frame, so I apologize if anything looks sloppy or rushed, and tried my best with what circumstances I was given, as, honestly, my mental took a few hits during this entire ordeal. Cyberweasel falsely claimed I only got enjoyment and sadistic glee out of this, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. I never asked to be harassed. I never asked to be the focus of some weirdo's obsession and manipulative behavior. I just wanted to do my thing, to celebrate Pride Month with my friends in the Project Moon community, to stream and vibe with my own community, to play silly gacha games that I've all had to put aside just to bust this shit out to silence the harassment campaign once and for all. Anyway, at this point, I'm exhausted. So I guess now it's time for me to start shilling myself. I plan on going over that 81-page Google Docie over on Twitch sometime after this video comes out. I'll leave a pinned comment as to when that will be, since I have no idea how long it's gonna take for me to edit this behemoth. If you missed the stream on Twitch, don't worry. I'll be uploading a highlight reel of it here on the stream, and the full VOD will be uploaded to my VODs channel when both are ready. So look forward to a part 2 Boogaloo if you want to see a casual version of me debunking more of her whatever the fuck she is. Speaking of casual, I also opened up a new channel that officially has clips, highlights, and shorts of my gaming and yapping content. It's simply called Saphera and is linked in the description. Feel free to give it a sub and watch the videos if you want to see more of me in more consumable versions than a full VOD. Also, this channel will officially only be for drama-related commentary going forward. That's about it, yeah. Thank you so much again for listening to me yap. I also hope I remained tactful where I could. Everything was rushed together and I'm a one-man army, so yeah. Take care, everybody. Till next time. Bye!